Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Omega Files. And here we are. We're going to sit down and take a look back over the entirety of Series 7 and just give quick, brief glimpses back now that we've reached the end of the season and give our opinions on, maybe we've rewatched the episodes here and there. Maybe we've changed our opinions. Maybe we haven't. But we're going to find out really quick. First, I want to introduce my panel. First off, I want to give a big welcome to Sammi Carter. Say hello, Sammi.
Hey man, what's up?
All right, next off we got Jack. Hello.
Hello.
Will joining us.
Hello.
And joining us for the first time from Australia is Ryan.
Hello everyone.
All right. Well, it's been a hell of a season, guys. We've been, on this roller coaster ride, starting back at Asylum, and now we've from Asylum to the Fields of Trenzalore. It's been one wackety season. All right, but let's get started, shall we? First off on our list, of course, is one of my personal favorites. You know how much I love this one.
I get this one too. Favorites?
Well,
I can tell from the tone of your voice, it doesn't sound like a favorite, does it?
Well, I was trying to be sarcastic, but
You were saying Asylum was like a roller coaster. It's probably the scariest one out there.
yeah. Let's start with Asylum of the Daleks. I want you each to just kind of quick, what were the highlights? What were the lowlights? What did you think of it in general? Let's start with Sammi Carter. What did you think of Asylum of the Daleks? Still with us, Sammi?
Yeah, I'm still with you, man. What can you say about Asylum of the Daleks? It's they could have been in more of the classic Daleks. I mean, look at the special weapons Dalek. I mean, they could have used them there and then with Rory, because I mean, look, he was next to the special weapons Dalek.
I know, and
I mean, why couldn't you just let the special weapons Dalek try and blow Rory's head off? I mean, come on.
I know, he just kind of sat there,
Yeah, just sat there as Rory went past. Is it? Oh, we're just going to stare at Rory. What should I do? Should I activate myself? I mean, what? And then you got all the remembrance of the Daleks, resurrection of the Daleks standing there, and you've also got the original Daleks. They were just standing there like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to stand here in front of the camera because that's what I'm good at.
I know.
I mean, really?
Yeah, you had Moffat and Caro Skinner advertising, up to the lead up there. We're going to have all the original Daleks back, and then they were all in the background.
Yeah, but what were they doing? They were standing like penguins.
Yeah, they were just sitting there like dummies, the whole time.
Yeah, we're gonna try and pretend to be the Auton, and we're just gonna see if we can, do this move thing that the Autons do. But but at the end of the day, I mean, Amy and Rory's breakup. What the hell was that about? As me and Jack were discussing earlier.
I know, the whole divorce plot line. Oh goodness.
Oh man, and but yeah, I think Matt Smith's performance was all right. It's not that bad at all.
Oh, okay. Jack, Asylum of the Daleks. What did you think? Still with us, Jack?
Jack?
Okay, I think we might have
Where
lost
the hell's
Jack. All right, well, let's move on to Will. We'll see if he resurfaces. Yeah.
Well, Asylum of the Daleks. I'll admit, first viewing, I wasn't a fan. I thought, it was, it's okay. Watched it again. I thought, what the hell was this crap? Well, one credibility I will give it, though. The one thing that was done, perfectly, flawlessly, was Oswin's Dalek reveal. That part, I mean, I really wasn't expecting Oswin to be a Dalek, but that doesn't make up for the rest of the episode being a pile of bullshit, like Amy and Roy's divorce. But
Yeah, I got to agree with you.
Tiny argument off screen. Like,
I know.
just a tiny argument off screen. What the hell? And also, not only that, because of the divorce, I think, this is probably the only time that I have, just hated Amy. I thought she was a bitch in this episode, especially towards Rory. I mean, just because you got your divorce thing doesn't give you an excuse, to be, horrible to him. Like, most people who get a divorce usually stay friends, but these two, they've been best friends their whole life, and now they're just giving up everything. Like, what the hell? And also, the worst part about this episode, my God, so many plot holes and continuity errors. I mean, for example, how can Scarro still be alive? I know some people are going to say, well, he just got the time machine, but no, I'm not going to use that because it was never justified in the episode. But, yeah. And also, final criticism, I'm just going to leave it here. They lied about, having the classic Daleks in. I mean, sure, they were in it, but they didn't actually do a goddamn thing. They were just purely background.
I know. I complained about that like mad because what really made me mad more than anything, intensive care. We've got Daleks from Exelon, Spiridon, and they're naming off all those planets from the classic series, and every single one of them's a Russell T Davies Dalek.
And also,
what?
The Daleks were really underused as well.
Exactly. That would have been the perfect opportunity to roll out those old Daleks. They didn't take it. And yeah, of course, the one, I really loved the one from like Power of the Daleks. It was that little white one that was off in the background, and it was a ballerina. Like.
Well, I'm not surprised it sucked.
Hello?
Oh, okay. Hang
was
on,
back
Jack.
in the time when Moffat did, a bunch of mixed bags in a row, like I wasn't too fond of Let's Kill Hitler, The Wedding River Song, or The Doctor, The Widow, and the Wardrobe. I mean, they were all watchable, but they really weren't that good. So It's not a surprise that Asylum with the Daleks sucked.
Okay. And like I said, you all know what my opinion was. They should have left the Ponds where they were at the end of closing time. It was a perfect ending. It was a perfect resolution. No, they had to drag him back for half a season. And meanwhile, they didn't introduce Claire until halfway through the season. That's something I'm going to bring up when we get to the snowman. Okay, Jack, go ahead. Asylum of the Daleks.
Oh, God, no. This is the episode I really hate. Sorry for that. I was away for a moment. But Asylum of the Daleks, God, they hyped this episode up so much. And I mean so much. I mean, it was in Doctor Who magazine. It was in Doctor Who Adventures. And I even remember going into the shop. And I remember looking at these pull-out posters of all the Daleks and the Doctor carrying Amy in his hands. I thought this episode was going to be so good that I wanted to watch every Dalek story over again just to hype up this episode. And then we get to the episode and God, what a bomb, honestly. Oh, God. I remember at the end of this episode, I felt like crying, honestly. It was that bad. I mean, you had this pointless subplot with Amy and Rory arguing, saying they're getting divorced. I mean, last time in closing time, we didn't see them. I mean, we had Pawn Life before that, but not many people saw that. I didn't see it. So we open up with Amy modelling and all that, and then you have, them arguing. I was just like, is this really needed? It's like Moffat was adding unneeded family drama. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the episode, they just completely forgot about that. They never went back to the whole divorce thing. It was just like, oh yeah, I'm getting divorced. And then at the end, they're back to normal. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
What I really hated was just how much screen time they took up. Because I saw those Daleks in the background and I was just like, oh, please, it's going to be so good. But when we saw like a few seconds of them, you know what I'm saying? When we saw 2 or 3 seconds of the Daleks in the background and then the Doctor going into the asylum and saying this Dalek's from Spiridon, this Dalek's from Exelon, they weren't any classic Whovian could tell you those bronze Daleks were not on Exelon and they weren't on Spiridon. And Clara, for an introduction, I didn't like her that much. I thought she was a bit too cocky. I thought she was like Amy.2. I mean, and the souffle thing, that irritated me. And, you know, oh god, those Dalek humans, oh, seriously. Why can't we just have the Dalek agents from Resurrection of the Daleks? They were good enough.
I think that's what they were supposed to be, was an upgrade of the duplicants.
No, but those eye stalks coming out of their heads, they look like, you know, you know what I'm talking about here. They look like D-I-C-K.
I got something growing out of my forehead.
That's basically saying the characters were.
I don't know if he's getting excited or if he's going to exterminate me. You know?
Yeah. But you also have that shot of that giant Dalek Asylum, that rusty old Dalek. And when I saw that shot of it, I thought it was a piece of SHIT, honestly.
Yeah,
It looked like a steaming Dalek made of, you know, crap.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, Will brought up is the fact that Skaro once again reappeared, and it's like, wait a minute, didn't the 7th Doctor wipe it out? Then it popped up in the '96 movie. It got wiped out in the Time War. Then it pops up again here. It's like,
yeah. This episode, I sort of lost my hopes, and I became quite a cynical Doctor Who fan after this. I'm afraid to say.
Okay.
They hyped it up so much. I really wanted to see the classic Daleks return, and you know, it just took all those expectations, all those, you know, all those great things I thought was going to happen. It just shoved it down the toilet. It just flushed it down the loo. Oh, the Daleks, classic Daleks. You know, only in the background for a few seconds, and that whole Parliament of the Daleks thing.
Oh,
horrible. And that the Prime Minister of the Daleks, whatever, he was saying that they cannot destroy other Daleks because it is blasphemy or something like that.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I don't understand is the Daleks would destroy another Dalek if it was impure or insane. That's what I didn't understand. Why would he say Dalek cannot kill another Dalek? I was just shouting at the screen, crap, honestly. Ah, God.
What was it, Will, you wanted to bring up real quick?
Since when did the Daleks have a government?
I know. Well, they used to have the Supreme Council and the Dalek Supreme, and that was it. There was no...
Why did they use the Supreme Dalek? I mean, yeah, he did make an appearance, but Prime Minister, he should be Supreme.
I was really expecting George W. Bush Dalek coming up.
No, our worst nightmare would have been George Cheney the Dalek. I mean, no, what's his name? Dick Cheney the Dalek. There we go. I forget his name because I tried to repress him. Dick Cheney the Dalek. There we go. Okay. But yeah, we all share the same feel. Oh my God, this was bad. Okay, Ryan, what'd you think of Asylum of the Daleks?
Well, usually it's fun to watch a Dalek episode, no matter how crap it is. You know, it's just fun seeing the Daleks. But this was just, I didn't enjoy it.
They didn't exterminate anybody. Oh.
I know. I thought, oh, cool, it'll be cool seeing insane Daleks. You know, seeing what the Doctor did to them. And,
Also,
yeah.
oh, sorry to interrupt once again. I have a bad habit of interrupting, but anyway, apparently, according to Wikipedia, Moffat's goal with this story was to make the Daleks scary again.
I know, I almost expected to see a game show host open up a curtain. You know, oh, man. Yeah, I got to agree with you all on that one.
Yeah. Why didn't they just have the Dalek Prime Minister, why didn't they just have him as a Dalek Emperor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's another thing. Why only one Dalek Emperor? You could always just stick another one in the big suit and say, "You're the new Emperor." You know.
I was really expecting. Oh God, I was really expecting like the Candyman to appear in that episode. It was so horrible.
or as Mike would say, the Absorbaloaf.
This episode, honestly, oh God, it was just horrendous, and I can't stress this anymore. Seriously, this was even worse than Evolution of the Daleks. This was worse than Daleks in Manhattan. Oh, horrible.
Okay, so anything else, Ryan?
No, everyone's about summed it up pretty
Yeah,
much.
okay, so yeah, Asylum of the Daleks, we started off on a down note, definitely. And one of the things I kept bringing up is, if you've got a Parliament of the Daleks, does that mean every galactic planet or sector has an MP Dalek that represents you? Hello, I am Dalek Jack, I am your Dalek Ray, or Dalek, and I'm here to represent you in the Dalek Parliament of the Daleks. Is there any issues you wish to bring up? Have the sanitation guys been taking your trash on time? It was nuts. It was an example of what I call lazy writing. It's called, wait a minute, I couldn't come up with a decent Dalek government, so I just used the one I'm used to. That would be the same as, me writing the episode and saying, we have Dalek president, Dalek vice president, Dalek senators. It's like, oh.
Surely relied on nostalgia for this one.
Or even
And
worse.
it didn't have much nostalgia, let me tell you that.
We'll have we'll have an old western town with Sheriff Dalek,
Out of 10, I'd give this a 3.
Yeah. I wasn't going to give it really number ratings, but I think we can all agree thumbs down.
Yeah.
If
I had to give this a rating, probably 1 out of 10, because of the Daleks in the background. But apart from that, horrible. This is the worst. This is probably one of the worst Doctor Who episodes I've seen. I mean,
Stephen Moffat script, that's for sure.
Yeah, all his scripts have been kind of weak, as we're going to find out as we go along. At least that's the way it came out to me, that he did a little bit of lazy writing.
Yeah, what I find hilarious looking back at it now is Matt Smith was saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to be a cult classic." I was just...
Yeah, cult classic.
I'm slowly choking myself to death.
You said cult classic, and the first thing that popped in my head was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's like, I can see the Daleks doing the time warp now.
I was really expecting to see in Nightmare in Silver, Obama Cyberman.
Cyber Obama. Okay, so let's move on before we really dig ourselves into a depression.
Well, I do give the rating of 7 out of 10 for the Asylum of the Daleks. I mean, that's not bad score.
Yeah.
-11, as Matrix Lord used to say.
Well, it's because Matrix Lord likes the episode. He thought differently. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I can't knock on everyone.
Differently to us all.
Yeah, everyone.
Oh, come on, don't start a war on Matrix Lord. You know what he's like.
I
still like his videos.
Matrix Lord is awesome.
Now, guys, let's not. We resolved all. It was a misunderstanding between us, and I just don't want to bring it up in the podcast. We've resolved it. And like I said, he's still my friend. I still love the guy. He has his own taste, and we can't knock people for that.
Yeah, Matrix.
Yeah, we honor Matrix Lord.
Yeah. I think, Matrix Lord.
I mean, come on, he's the guy who invented the Matrix.
No. The Wachowski brothers invented the Matrix. Or no, depending on which Matrix. We have the Time Lord Matrix. We have the So it could be anything. But let's move on before we dig ourselves in too deep with Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Now, to me, this was one of the out of the original 5 we got to see last year. This is one of the ones I actually really, really like, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship.
Me too. Yeah.
So let's start with Sammi Carter. What did you think of Dinosaurs on a Spaceship?
Oh, do you know what? I mean, it's very... well, many of us thought that it was going to be similar to the invasion of the dinosaurs with John Pertwee, but it doesn't seem to be that case, because it seems that we're on a cargo spaceship, or whatever spaceship they're calling it. And you basically have these dinosaurs who, at first, many of the viewers, including Brian Williams, thought, whether the dinosaurs were basically flying the spaceship, but then it turns out that we have Dr. Salamander, whatever.
Doug Bradley. Yeah, Dave
Solomon.
Bradley. Yeah, Solomon.
Yeah, Solomon. And the fact that he was being cruel to these, to not only Queen Nefertiti, but being cruel to the Silurians and the dinosaurs and all that. And in my cases, this was the first story that you get to see the Doctor let a man lead himself to his death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that caused a lot of controversy.
For a minute, is he going to become the Valiant now? He's just murdered a man.
Well, he's done violent things in the past. We all know that. He nearly committed genocide in remembrance of the Daleks when he blew up that sun. I mean, oh God.
I know it's
But like I said, I thought for a second he's going to become the Valiant. Now he's just murdered a human. I just knew from that minute he ain't going to be the same.
Well, the first Doctor tried to kill a caveman with a rock in the first story. So, the Doctor has done these things before, and I quite like that aspect. I think that this dark Doctor we're seeing from Matt Smith, I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like the way he's developing. I thought it was awesome actually when he blew up that ship with Solomon, because Solomon was alright, and
But more importantly, he's playing the very first Doctor later this year. I mean, come on, you got to give the guy credit for his acting.
Oh yeah.
So, all right.
So obviously, yeah, he did brilliant as Solomon, and who knows what he'll be like as the first Doctor. He might be fantastic as William Hartnell. You never know.
Yeah, when they aired the trailers for this episode, and we did the little snapshots out of the trailers, I had people contacting me left and right going, oh my God, that's the first Doctor. And it turns out, no, it was just David Bradley. So it was kind of nice that they cast him because he has William Hartnell's look.
He does. And in the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, he played Argus, or is it Argus or Angus Filch? Something like that. Argus? Yeah, the guy with the cat.
If I'm right, he's done loads of films, ain't he? Hasn't he done Star Trek or stuff like that? Or
he was in Captain America at the beginning.
Oh, because Jenna-Louise Coleman's done Captain America, hasn't she?
Yeah, but if you blink, you'll miss her. She was in there for 15 seconds.
I was Captain America, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you have to really look. There was a scene where the guy who's going to become Captain America and his buddy are out on supposed to be a double date, and she was one of the dates. So she didn't even have any real big part in it, but she was there.
Well, isn't that funny? You've got two people who actually starred in Series 7. Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting, plus, we gotta love Jenna. It's one of the things, the only thing I liked about Asylum was Jenna's bit.
Yeah, right. And you also gotta love the dinosaurs in this episode. My God, the CGI was
Well, the interesting to note that the dinosaurs were done by the same crew that did Primeval. But the thing is they wouldn't let them use the original computer graphic models due to rights issues. So they had to build those dinosaurs up in the computer from scratch.
And you could tell they did a great job at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's just give them a big round of applause now.
Yeah. I have to give them a round of applause for it. Definitely. Bravo.
Okay, yeah, let's move on to Will. Will, what'd you think of Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, real quick?
Much better than Asylum of the Daleks.
Oh, much better.
Alright, yeah.
Billion times.
Well, first of all, there was no mention of the divorce, which I thought was good. I mean, this was sort of more of a fun episode, which I only think occasionally they can get away with it, but most of the time, it doesn't really work. But this was one of the times when it did work. I really liked Matt Smith's acting in this. He was absolutely brilliant, and I absolutely just cracked up at something he said, especially on my first viewing, like, Dad, put it on your Christmas list. Dad, I'm 31, I don't have a Christmas list anymore. I do!
Yeah, that was brilliant. I love that.
But yeah, I also love the fact that there was no mention of the bullshit divorce. So that's good. And I also love Mark Williams.
But it was a bit funny when the Doctor mutated, when he brought the TARDIS to Amy Aurora and Brian was fixing a light bulb and he's still on the ladder when the TARDIS arrived. I was like...
But yeah, as I was saying, I thought Mark Williams made a great addition to the cast, and I really loved his acting as Brian Williams. I mean, although this episode isn't perfect, the only real gripe that I had with this is probably the most common gripe that people had was the robots. I'm sure kids would find them funny, but they were just no, they didn't need to be in there.
Well, they were played by Mitchell and Webber, the comedian guys. If anyone knows, does anyone know them?
I've heard of them, but never seen them myself.
They're from Peep Show.
Yeah, they're from the Peep Show. That's the one.
Yeah, I thought they were brilliant myself. I thought they added a little bit extra light to the episode.
Yeah. I mean, when I first heard their voices, I was sort of like, oh, they're not that great.
I love that. Yeah, David Bradley. I got them cheap.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder they suck.
Yeah, I got them cheap.
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw the robots, I was like, oh yeah, they look great. They look like those robots from the Sarah Jane Adventures. And then I listened to their voices. At first, I didn't like their voices, but as the episode went on, I really liked them. I thought they brought a much-needed comedic element into the episode. I really liked this episode.
You know else what I liked about the robots? They were not CGI. Those were actual suits that were built.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
And an honourable mention must go to Triceratops.
Oh yes, I love that sequence chasing the golf ball, especially that thing. Well, if you got any vegetable matter in your pants, just my balls. I fell over laughing at that.
I was just like, what's that doing in the Family Show? And I realised golf balls. Oh.
But that was
overall, I give this episode an 8 out of 10. It was very, very good.
I love this one. A definite thumbs up on this one.
My favourite from Series 7 Part 1.
Yeah. Probably my favourite as well. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I loved all of it, to be honest. It was a good little run around, and I liked the bits where they're outside, they're outside on the beach with the Doctor and Rory's dad and all that, and they're looking into that little computer thing in the rocks on the beach. That was nice. The dinosaurs were nice, and that bit at the end where the Doctor is just, relentless and just lets the guy die, just blows him up. I thought that was really good. And overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. Great episode.
If I remember correctly, that was...
I'm going with the 8 as well, Great story. Plot lines works. Absolutely brilliant as a standalone.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that was also the same beach they used for Time of the Angels.
Oh, yeah, they've also used that beach for Rose Tyler's Goodbye, isn't it? Because it's Bad Wolf Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't remind me of Rose Tyler. I hate her character.
Or as Doctor Who Man calls her. Doctor Who Man calls her Miss Piggy. So.
But yeah.
All right, so Jack, you definitely liked it. So let's move on to Ryan. Ryan, what did you think of Dinosaurs on a Spaceship?
Well, when I first heard about this episode and the title of it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those stupid filler episodes. This is going to be like childish nonsense. But it wasn't childish nonsense at all. I feel that, what they did to build it up, they were trying to make it sort of kid-friendly as a sort of counterbalance to the more darker element at the end of it with the Doctor killing Solomon.
Yeah.
Or just leave him there.
And
Yeah.
I felt that sort of went back to the darker tones of Sylvester McCoy later on.
Yes.
In his
Yes.
later seasons.
That reminded me, when the Doctor just killed Sullivan, blew him up. That reminded me at the end of Remembrance of the Daleks when he says, "Goodbye, Davros. This hasn't been pleasant," and then he blows up the mothership. That's what it reminds me of when he says, "It hasn't been pleasant, McCoy." Yeah.
Yeah, also it
Yeah.
reminded me, a lot of people, always have this thing about the Doctor not being violent. I'm like, I remember Pertwee zapping an Ogron just because he was coming his direction. I remember, first Doctor about the smashing a caveman's head because he was slowing them up because he was injured.
Yeah.
Then we had Tom Baker's Doctor. All right, forgive me because I always get the episode title mixed up. It was the one with the crinoid. I think it was Seeds of Doom or Seeds of Doom.
Yeah.
Where he snapped the guy's neck, and then it's like you had the fifth Doctor zapping a Cyberman point blank in the chest. I can go on and on and on.
Yeah, the sixth Doctor in the Attack of the Cybermen basically blowing away this entire platoon of Cybermen, including the controller, just shooting them all in the chest unit. Yeah.
And then you got seventh Doctor unleashing the hand of Omega on the Daleks, wiping out the Cybermen with the Nemesis. And it's crazy, It's like, where did this non-violent guy come from?
Yeah, I love the seventh Doctor though. He's great. Third favorite Doctor, honestly. Great Doctor.
Yeah.
He's my fifth and my brother's first.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love Sylvester McCoy's portrayal of him. Did y'all get a chance to listen to his reading of the Pandorica Opens, that little thing there?
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Oh, yes.
I love the way he did it. He still has that sinister voice all these years later.
Yes.
And
Oh.
that's what I loved about him. The chess player, the guy who was always 3 moves ahead of everybody,
One of my favorite lines from the classic series in Survival: "If we fight like animals, we die like animals."
Yeah, or I love that speech that he gave to Morgaine in Battlefield about death gone mad. I love that speech.
Yes, and the actress who played her, her name slips my mind at the moment.
I believe it was, she played Sarah Kingdom, Jean Marsh.
Yeah, Jean Marsh. She said that she was happy that she was convinced by the Doctor not to launch the nuclear rockets. She was happy about that. And yeah, the Seventh Doctor's voice, wow. Andrew Cartmel said that Sylvester McCoy sounded like Richard Burton in his prime.
Okay, so we all agree, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship was a definite, better episode than the first one.
A lot better. Like
Yeah.
a million times better.
Okay, then we move on to the one that let me down, and there was really mixed reviews on this one, A Town Called Mercy. And I was really, really looking forward to this one, especially with Ben Browder. Ben Browder's been everywhere, Farscape. He was recently on Arrow as a villain, and, really, also Stargate SG-1 for the last couple of years. And here's an actor I love seeing in just about everything. And then he was in it for all of 5 minutes. Really doing anything, he was in it for 5 minutes. But okay, so let's start with Sammi Carter. What'd you think of A Town Called Mercy, Sammy?
Well, The Town Called Mercy, well, again, many people thought, it was going to be like The Gunfighters Part 2 because, they've already done the Wild West stuff with William Hartnell back in the 65 or 66, I can't remember what year that was, but, A Town Called Mercy with the Gunslinger, it was very interesting to see how the Gunslinger and the Doctor were going to interact, because the Doctor and the Cyborg, how is this going to turn out? And it turned out interesting how the Cyborg was almost going to kill the Doctor. But obviously the Doctor persuaded him to keep him alive so he could, get the other Doctor, who is known as Kazal Jex. He was a devil type character. He really tipped the Doctor off, and and this was and obviously that scene where Amy tells him, "Oh, this is not how we roll," and then you hear the Doctor say, "Everyone's had my mercy. The Daleks, the Master, they all have mercy because they all die and everything." I can't remember the entire speech of it.
Honoring all the victims because of his mercy.
Yeah, because of his mercy, and it's really interesting that he also took a part on looking after the town and coming face to face with the gunslinger.
Yeah, that was one of the redeeming things of this, whole episode to me was that, that speech right there, and then Amy just looks him dead in the face and goes, "And this is what happens when you travel alone for too long." And yeah, that I'm still mixed on this one in a way because it had its good moments, but at the same time it kind of dragged in a few places. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed a bit of the dragging lines, but I think I did enjoy some parts of it. I mean, parts of it felt like we're in the Wild West. It feels like we're in the old western town. That's what it felt like in most parts of it, and the fact that you get all these old-fashioned cowboys and the old-fashioned pub and everything. The way that they had it was really, and the fact that this was filmed in Spain.
Yeah, Almeida.
Come on, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, where they filmed a lot of the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns were filmed there. A lot of the old-fashioned westerns. Like I think it was High Plains Drifter and a few others were filmed there. It was just a perfect spot for it.
And also that moment where we were told that Sophie, what was her name? Sophia Miles. Sorry, was actually heading over to Spain, and we all thought, "Oh, is she going to be in Doctor Who? Is she going to be in a town called Mercy?" But they messed our heads that day.
I gotta say, well played, Moffat. You had everybody guessing on that one. Okay.
Who knows? She might even be in the Christmas special.
Word is I'm hearing the reason why they were calling her up is she might have a spot in Sherlock in the future.
There you go. I wonder what she'll do in Sherlock then. Be Sherlock's wife or something?
But okay, let's move on to Will. Will, Town Call Mercy, give it to us. What do you think?
Alright, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I was excited for this episode because, at the time, I had already seen the gunfighters, and unlike many people, I had actually really enjoyed it. It was like Dinosaurs in a Spaceship. It was one of those fun episodes that I thought worked. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So, I saw it, and because, I was expecting more action because it was Wild West and everything, I'll admit I was disappointed when I saw this because, it was filled with more action. Then I gave it a couple... I was expecting, right. I was slightly disappointed because, I was expecting more action. I thought it was going to be like the gunfighters, like Sammi Carter said. But then I gave it a few rewatches and I thought, it's not too bad. It's one of those that was okay. It was pretty average. It was pretty good. Not exactly the best in the world, but it was watchable. I really liked the gunslinger in this episode. I thought he was a really good addition, but it was one that I was it didn't appeal to me as much as I thought it was going to. But one thing I did like though, there were a few moments that I liked that involved Matt Smith's acting, like when he walked into the bar with that toothpick and was just like, "Tea with strong stuff, leave the bag in."
Yeah, that was funny as heck.
and then when the landlady said, "What you doing here, son? Son, you can stay." And also when he was talking to the horse, like he's called Susan and he wants you to respect his life choices. That was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah. Plus, one of the scenes I'm shocked nobody mentioned yet was when Kaylor Jex is sitting there with the doctor, and he basically says, that they're the same, that they both had to do what they had to do to fight a war. And
Yes. Yeah. That reminds us of the Time War, and it reminds us that the Doctor had to commit genocide as well. And that's what I liked about this episode. Although it was a bit lackluster, I did like the gunslinger, and I enjoyed... I mean, I like the fact that this character that the Doctor's met is a flawed person, and he has committed genocide. But he's trying to recover from that. He's trying to be a better person. And I think he even said that the reason why he came here was to fix things, to make things better. And I remember that ship, that really strange-looking ship that looked like a white onion.
yeah, I equivocated it to being as like from Mork and Mindy, the little egg ships.
Yeah. And then the Doctor having to detonate it, or something. Detonating it. And then the gunslinger at the end became a good guy. I like that, to be honest. I've seen the gunslingers as well. Quite a funny episode, but yeah, I liked this episode. It was a bit lackluster, I would say. But
Yeah.
overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Not as good as not as good as Dinosaurs in a Spaceship, but definitely better than Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah. But I give this a 6 out of 10. I thought it was, pretty good, not the best, It wasn't one of those I'd watch over and over again, but I'd watch it if it was either that or I had to watch Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan, what'd you think of A Town Called Mercy?
I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. I haven't watched any of the episodes from 7A a second time. I just watched them when they were aired, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't bored through it. I had a good time. I found that most of the episodes could have been a lot darker, and that they just made them a lot more, family-orientated, fun sort of episodes, like leading up that they were going to have like the ponds leaving and everything, because that was going to be like a dark moment.
Yeah.
And they were trying to have a little bit of fun with it, and that there could have been some darker themes a little bit, and we got that with Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, with Solomon getting blown up and everything. But yeah, I didn't mind this episode. I like the gunslinger, cool idea they had there. And yeah, that whole bit with Doctor and them just talking.
Alrighty, so now we know what he thought of A Town Called Mercy. He wanted it to shut up. Okay, so yeah, Town Called Mercy. Like I said, I don't really want to give it a number because I'm still got mixed emotions on it. I think maybe I drifted up to a 7 out of 10 now when I watch it again because there were some really good moments in it. And watching it a second time through, I did find a few things that I really did enjoy about it, but at the same time, come on, the egg ships, it looked like they came from Orson from Mork and Mindy, the cyborg was really good. So, Town Called Mercy, yeah, we all agree, still better than Asylum of the Daleks.
Anything's better than
Let's not mention that again.
Look at it this way, it was definitely better than Love and Monsters. Definitely. All right. So let's move on to the next one, and that was The Power of Three. Now, this one was probably the only other one I really, really, really liked out of the first 5. And, plus we had, the introduction of a new enemy. We had an introduction of an enemy that didn't just show up and, and blast everything to pieces. It just sat there, and, shocked us all in the end when it finally did spring its trap. Okay, Sammy, what'd you think of The Power of Three?
Oh, this episode paid honor to the late, great Brigadier Ledbridge Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Alison Gordon Ledbridge Stewart for many people, with the introduction of his daughter, Kate Stewart, finally, obviously was pleased to actually meet the Doctor for the first time because, the Doctor recognised her because the Brigadier mentioned her during his times with the Brigadier. More importantly, this is like the episode that we get to see the Doctor spend a whole year with the ponds and that, and you know it felt new. It felt like pond life for a bit, you know, for parts of the episode. It kind of felt a bit like Russell T Davis had written this or something. The Emily though, I and also there were some points in this episode that I thought the Zygons were going to appear, because they did mention something about the Zygons in this episode, which was a bit surprising. So,
Yeah, I love the fact that they found out that the hotel that he had taken them to for their little honeymoon or whatever, turned out the Zygons were underneath it. Oh yeah, I thought there was a nice mention for him, especially a little bit of foreshadowing there, considering we're going to see him in the the 50th anniversary. So
exactly, and more importantly, and the fact that we get to see, but I have to say, this Emily who the Doctor meets through this really dimensional, who is responsible for the black cubes, this is someone new. This is an Emily that we've never encountered before, an Emily who is probably going to take quite a long time for us to get familiar with, because we've never came this close to meeting someone that the Doctor hasn't met for a long time before like that. So I reckon they'll need to reappear this monster, or this alien again, in order for us to be familiar with it.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the name of that enemy? He said they were mentioned. Oh, the Shakri. Yeah, they were mentioned in the old Time Lord legends, and it was kind of nice to see an enemy, that the Doctor remembered, from when way back, that, even the Time Lords had a little bit, concern about. You don't see that too often anymore, like the Osirans and whatnot, the big, bad, powerful aliens that are just hiding in the shadows, that, even the Gallifreyans were afraid of. And, it was nice to see that. Now, Will, let's move on to you. Power of 3, what'd you think?
One word can sum up what I thought of this episode. Boring.
Boring?
I mean, cubes.
Oh, really?
Cubes. What kind of thing is that? I mean, on net, when I first watched this, I thought it was pretty good, I was just expecting it to be a bit of a filler, but I thought it was pretty good. And it's like, I mean, it really didn't appeal to me all that much. I mean, I did like the fact that Unit were in it, and, it had the Brigadier's daughter, Kate Stewart, but it's just, other than that, all we saw, really, throughout most of the episode, was life with the ponds, and while Brian Williams was very entertaining again, especially when he was, pulling the faces at the cube, it was just really dull to me. I didn't really like it all that much. One of my least favourites of Series 7, I give it a 4 out of 10.
Whoa! I like the jabs at Twitter.
And also something else that struck me also in the episode was when they showed off a picture of a fog watch.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh man, is Rory a Time Lord?
Unfortunately, that didn't pan out. It just turns out that if you do the happy dance in the TARDIS, so to speak, that it produces time babies now. Or as I call it, the untempered jism. But,
yeah, I kept thinking that Rory was a Time Lord after I saw that fog watch. I was like, yeah, something's Time Lordy about that family.
But yeah, it turns out that didn't pan out in our case. But I was one of the ones who was hoping, it would be a shocker like that. Hey Amy, talk about popping up like on the Springer show. My husband turned out to be a Time Lord.
Yeah, maybe Brian was a master or something.
Well, okay, let's move on. Jack, Power of 3, what'd you think?
I liked this episode. What I liked about it was different. I know Ryan or whatever was complaining about the cubes. I liked it, to be honest. It was different. It wasn't just a big a big green alien or or a Dalek or a Cyberman or something. It was just a cube, and that was what was so strange. You wanted to find out the mystery, and that was cool because you had Brian on the camera saying, this is vlog 150. This is day 151. The cube has not moved throughout the night. All that. That was great. And we also saw the Doctor muck about a bit. I mean, it was cool because he was so bored because of all the cubes. The cubes sort of became part of people's lives throughout that year. What was great, what was really funny seeing was when the Doctor was hoovering the stairs and all that.
Yeah.
Then he was on the Wii. He was playing tennis on the Wii or something like that.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah. And then when he lands on the sofa and he's like, I've done everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the alien at the end was pretty cool. And what I liked about it was, these aliens just didn't come to invade out of nowhere. The reason why they didn't do anything for a year is because they were downloading the whole history of Earth, the whole history of everything that's ever happened in the lifetime of Earth, to find their weaknesses, and that was so great about it because they just downloading the information. They were trying to find out, and then when they did find out, they knew what to do. It wasn't just some random alien that came to Earth and just wanted to take over the world for no reason.
Yeah.
So it was a good episode. There were still a few bits that were kind of boring, like Ryan said. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10, but it wasn't.
Why are you calling Ryan?
What?
Why are you calling me Ryan?
Sorry, I'm getting confused here.
That was Will.
Yeah, no, but anyway, 7 out of 10. Some lackluster moments, but altogether, I thought it was a good episode.
Okay, yeah, I got to agree with you on that. It wasn't the most fantastic one, but I really enjoyed it. It's the 2 out of the first 5. That was one of them that I really liked, and plus, yeah, you had the Shakri, that were not just showing up and running in, guns blazing. They were actually learning about their enemy, and it kind of reminded me of one of the sayings of Sun Tzu, where he said, know your enemy as you know yourself, and you'll always be victorious. So they kind of took that approach to invading worlds. We're going to find out all about you, then we're going to kick your butt. So, okay, let's move on. Ryan, what did you think of the Power of 3?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It's a different take on it, showing. This was the one I really don't remember much about. I can remember bits and pieces here and there, but yeah, just showed the Doctor waiting, and one of the main focuses of the episode was getting to know a bit more of the ponds and everything before they left. And yeah, I thought it was quite a good episode. The whole cube idea was paid off, I believe, in my opinion.
Alrighty, so Power of 3, we all had a pretty good opinion of it. Given what we'd seen so far up to that point, it was a definite improvement. Alright, so next up, the one, to me, that was one of the classic examples of lazy writing. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. There are just so many plot holes in this thing. You could, oh goodness. I think, I'm trying to find a good way. More holes than Swiss cheese just doesn't even seem to justify it. But the Angels take Manhattan. Now, what'd you think of it, Sammi Carter?
Well, the Angels take Manhattan. Well, the Weeping Angels, for starters, look at them. They've got a Statue of Liberty angel now, and apparently they're not going for this blink or you're dead theory, which is a bit strange at first because you're used to when you blink you're gone, that sort of thing. But the little Weeping Angels were pretty good as well. The fact that if you have a lighter and if they blow it out, you get sent past space instead of time, which is interesting. more importantly, it's set in New York, which is another good scenery for the episode. River Song herself, she's a big plot line to it. The fact that the Doctor uses a part of his regeneration energy to save River, and River says, "What did you waste that for?" And more importantly, obviously you get to see an older Rory dying inside the hotel, which later on it seems that Rory and Amy jump off that building, which should have been the ending of Amy and Rory, I have to say, but the way they left, they just left. Well, Rory, he just looked up at Amy and boom, he's gone. And they're like, "Oh, what? What was he going to say? What?" So, Amy and Rory, their goodbye wasn't really touching as the one of them falling off the building one. That was more touching than the getting touched by an angel thing.
Yeah.
I just think that was a bit silly in their behalf, but however, when he saw, and then obviously they do tie in that stuff about Amelia Pond thing, which is fair enough. River Song is like, "Oh, I've got stuff to do. You carry on doing what you have to do," stuff like that, and I have to admit it was an alright episode, but they could have, maybe have another episode to explain other plot lines, obviously.
That was my general complaint. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, that was my general complaint about this whole season so far, was the fact that, they tried to rush everything into one episode each, and there were a few of them that should have definitely been two-parters, and this was one of them. I think it would have came out a lot better if it had been. Okay, Will, go for it. Angels Take Manhattan.
Alright, I disagreed with you on the Power of Three, and I'm going to disagree with you on the Angels Take Manhattan. I thought, while it wasn't brilliant, it was definitely pretty good. Certainly better than the Power of Three. Yes, I said it. I mean, I think the main reason that I liked this episode was, the Pond's departure. Really, really touching. Although, like Sammi Carter said, I think it would have been better if they would have just left after they jumped off the building. Because Rory, he just died like the idiot we saw in Series 5.
I know. He was getting to be like Kenny from South Park. They killed Rory!
I know, right? Oh my god, they killed Rory, you bastards!
I know.
Anyway. Right, anyway. Although, this was probably the weakest so far out of all the Weeping Angel stories because, well, again, River Song, to be honest, I didn't like her all that much, that probably because, she was still the young, flirty girl we got to know in Series 6. But, yeah, it wasn't a perfect episode, I admit. I mean, it could have been better as a two-parter, like you said, Dr. Freedom. I thought it would have been a lot better if Amy and Rory would have died jumping off the building. And also, the Statue of Liberty, while a great concept, didn't work, mainly because we saw it in a pre-credit sequence, and we knew what it was when it was coming together, Dr. Amy, Rory, and River. So overall, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, and I had to agree on that because I still don't like that whole Moffat, months later trying to explain how, this how many 100-foot tall statue just took a stroll across the bay, hopped up on land, walked through a city that had a population of, I think, almost 5 million still in the early 30s. And, nobody, I thought you were supposed to look at it and then they quantum lock. But, I guess that went out the window. And that's what really also turned me off about it was a little bit of overkill, in that regard. But, okay, Jack, Angels Take Manhattan, go for it.
Worst Weeping Angel story so far. I mean, don't get me wrong, I praise Moffat for inventing the Weeping Angels, but I think he's overused them too much, I think the last time we really saw Weeping Angels as scary villains was Blink, to be honest. I mean, they were good in Time the Angels and all that, but, you know, the snapping of the necks and all that seemed a bit weird. But this episode, it just leaves a lot of questions unanswered. I mean, the thing with this episode is it starts off really well. You get the investigator walking into the house, the mansion, whatever, and then him going up the lift, and then you get a typewriter in the background, and you hear his voice talking. That was all nice. That was creepy. That was good. But then you get to the pre-credit scene, and
Jack? Hello?
Hello,
The
anybody
angels.
home?
We lost you,
The
Jack.
Angels got him.
Yeah, the Weeping Angels got him. Ah!
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, no.
To get back. We'll go
You
back.
blinked.
hello.
Oh, there. Oh, we thought for a second the Angels got you.
Sorry.
Okay, so
sorry about that.
okay,
My dad-
continue on.
My dad said, "Do you want to watch a documentary about David Bowie?" And I'm like, "No, I'm talking about Doctor Who." But yeah, Angels in Manhattan. You get the pre-credit scene, and you have Statue of Liberty. Oh God, I just laughed at that, because first of all, Statue of Liberty, how could that be a weeping angel? And second of all, there's so many people in New York, so many people who look at the Statue of Liberty, it had just been frozen there. It would never have moved in all of its lifetime. Doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
Amy and Rory in this episode, I liked them. They were a lot better than Asylum. I mean, that bit where they said, none of this will happen if we jump off the building together. And then they did that. That was really nice. That was really nice, the way it created a paradox. But at the end, wait, excuse me a sec.
I know, it takes a moment to catch your breath on that, because one of the things I could not understand about the ending of this episode, they left the angel there! It's like, hello, we'll just leave him sitting there in the graveyard to zap up any of the other poor unsuspecting fool and start the whole thing all over again. Oh, man. Yeah, I did not like Angels Take Manhattan. I thought it could have been a lot better. And even though it did have some classic noir moments in it, oh, goodness. And, of course, one of the things I mentioned is the fact that, yeah, River Song with the regeneration energy thing, what if they were alluding to the fact that she knew that, you know, there was another incarnation hidden in there, and that's why she yelled at him for, you know, using the regeneration energy.
Oh, wait.
You have a point there, Frida, but that could possibly be, you know.
So this is almost foreshadowing what was going to come later in the season, you know, as we got to the end. So, who knows? Anything else, Jack? Okay, I think, okay.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I'm getting interrupted here.
Yeah,
But,
tell him no Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, what was it? The ending was a bit rushed, Amy and Rory leaving. I thought it was a terrible ending. You know, her just looking back and the doctor looking at her gravestone, it left so many questions unanswered. I didn't like it at all. And I just felt, you know, I felt like this isn't the end, you know. I felt like they need to explain this more. You know, that scene of doctor reading the letter or whatever from Amy, the girl who waited, and then we get that flashback. It was okay, but it wasn't the best ending. I'd probably give it a rating 6 out of 10. It started off really good. Then it just got quite comical, and it had a lot of plot holes. So I wouldn't give it a big rating, but yeah.
Okay. So, Ryan, what'd you think? Angels Take Manhattan.
Like Jack said, the angels are getting less frightening as they go along. And they didn't do a whole lot really. Like, you can't really blame it, really, as well, either, because this was, like, based, like, focused on the ponds and everything. But, yeah, and it seemed like the jumping off the building scene was more like Rory farewell, whereas the whole Angel thing was a more of an Amy-based farewell.
Yeah. Seemed to me like Rory got robbed.
You know, but yeah, the weakest Weeping Angel story, I think.
Okay, now let's move on to the one I really, really loved, the Christmas special for last year, the Snowman. Now, this was definitely 100 times better than the first 5 episodes. We had Clara being introduced, as the 19th century governess. I just can't praise this one enough. This one was really, really lighthearted. Had the Doctor in a funk after losing, the ponds. And we've got, the Paternoster gang trying to snap him out of it in the prequels to it. Oh, goodness. I love the Snowman. I want to hear what your guys are going to say about it. Sammi Carter, the Snowman, hit it.
Oh, I just absolutely love the Snowman. I mean, come on, the great intelligence, the guys who are behind the Yeti from the classic series, they're back now. Dr. Simeon, played by Richard E. Grant, the formal Doctor before Christopher Eccleston was announced. What can I say? Richard E. Grant was brilliant as a villain in this episode. You get to see that he was working for the great intelligence, the entity that would go inside his body later on, obviously. As I was saying, obviously you see the Doctor. He's dark and he's pretty dark, obviously, upset because of the fact that he's lost the ponds, and then all of a sudden you get to see this governess who's trying to say, "Oi, we haven't finished what we started," and everything. And when he tells Strax to get the memory worm, he doesn't even remember a thing. And then all of a sudden you get this comedy with Strax. I mean, come on, you gotta love Strax when he says, "Oh, I think I'm being hit. I think I'm getting run over by a horse crab," or whatever he was calling it.
I think I've been run over by a cab. Oh.
You just love Strax, and then obviously whenever the Doctor tells Strax to take her back, she comes out of the cab and follows the Doctor. And of course the magic ladders that lead to the TARDIS. It feels like Mary Poppins in that very moment. I'm like, how on earth did they do that? That was sensational stuff. I mean, wow. Especially the cloud that the Doctor's TARDIS was in a cloud, and I was like, how the hell did they do that? That was incredible.
Plus that scene where they walk right into the TARDIS.
Oh,
excellent.
Yeah, that was taken from more than 30 years of the TARDIS. That was brilliant effects there, and more importantly, the ice governess woman. I tell you what, the ice governess definitely kept repeating herself, saying, "Oh, that's the way to do it."
Yeah, the ice governess who's up there. She's basically acting like Mr. Punch. Yeah.
And then you see the so-called puppet with the Doctor. that was a good scene as well. You also get to see Jenna snogging the hell out of Matt Smith, like she's crazy about him. Which,
I don't think I'm all happy about that.
No, I thought a couple of new fans wouldn't be happy about it. And more
I do
importantly,
think that Matt Smith was a lucky guy there.
yeah, he was lucky actually. But more importantly, when it came to Clara's death and that, and more importantly, with the fact that you also got the Doctor getting touched by Dr. Simeon as the Great Intelligence with the ice. That's where, obviously later on, which we'll probably bring up bring up at some point, where the lady from Hyde says that he has ice in his heart. So he might have got it from the Great Intelligence. Who knows? But it's a brilliant episode. I have to say, it's going to be a 10 out of 10. I'm sorry, I loved it.
I agree with. I love that episode. Will, go ahead. Snowman, what do you think?
I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as you did.
Okay.
Okay, I thought it was okay. I thought Matt Smith's acting throughout was brilliant. I thought it was a bit like a Scrooge. I loved it how it was like, all dark and brood at first, and then more and more as the episode's goes on, he becomes slightly more energetic and, and just more like his old self. I also love the scene, like basically where he transforms. Whenever he defeats the Ice Lady, and then he looks at himself in the mirror, and then Clara says, "It's cooler," and then he says, "Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is very cool. Bow ties are cool."
I know, really well. I love the way those two played off each other in this episode. Plus that was the Claire I was hoping we were going to get, the one that could out-talk the Doctor.
Well, anyway, the reason I didn't like it as much is because Richard E. Grant. I know you lot said that he, was a great actor. I thought he kind of sucked here because I get he was trying to play a dark and lonely and bitter old man, but the problem is, he didn't show any emotion. He just kept the same facial expression on throughout the whole episode. I mean, he was good in The Name of the Doctor. It was a Great Intelligence because that worked, but we're going to get to that later. But his acting as Dr. Simeon in The Snowman really didn't appeal to me, to be honest. And also, the Snowmen really didn't do much. I mean, they were in the title, but all they do is get out of the ground and chop their teeth, and that is it.
Oh,
With
okay.
the exception of one scene that was done off screen when they eat all the people. But I'll admit, when I first saw this, I loved it, mostly because, it's the first, good Moffat script we've got in a long time. But then, the more I watch it, the more, I still think it's pretty decent, but I don't think it's fantastic. Definitely, and you're going to hate me for this, not as good as The Angels Take Manhattan. I give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, Jack the Snowman.
Yeah, the Snowman. When I first saw this episode, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. Then I looked over the episode again, and it did have a lot of flaws. First of all, as I'm sorry sorry for getting your name. Well, like Will said, Richard E. Grant, he wasn't that good in this episode. He only had one facial expression, and there's this terrible scene where he's trying to pretend to be that zombie. I just laughed there. And I don't know, I mean, snowmen as sort of a villain, snowmen aren't very threatening from what angle you look at them. I mean, they just had that weird smile, and that's all you saw of them. I mean, Clara, I like Clara as the Victorian governess, and that thing that's the way to do it, that sort of ice lady. No, I didn't like her. She was a bit too stupid. And what I really hated about this episode was the way Clara, the Doctor gave Clara the key, and then suddenly she just kissed him out of nowhere. That seemed a bit unprovoked. And the whole thing with, her going up the stairs like that, onto that cloud. What I didn't like was as soon as she got into the TARDIS, somehow that ice lady was up the stairs and she pulled her out and she died. And I was just like, oh, come on. That felt a bit cheap to me. The sets were a bit, I don't know, the sets looked a bit classic series, like that snow globe. It looked a bit cheap. But overall, I mean, second time viewing, third time viewing, it isn't that great. But I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10. There were some Richard E. Grant wasn't that great. Some of the sets were a bit dodgy, and the villain, the snowman, didn't get to do much. Weren't really that threatening. So 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay, Ryan the Snowman.
Okay, 5 words. The best Christmas special ever.
All right.
Just right off. You know, I don't think the last few ones were that good. I've got the Next Doctor line somewhere, so I'll have to rewatch that again.
That's like a special.
Yeah, I loved it. Of course, I was craving Doctor Who after a little bit of a wait, and I couldn't wait for this episode. And and Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen in it. That was amazing. There's the Great Intelligence and the reference to the London Underground with the biscuit tin. That was pretty good. I loved the new TARDIS when that showed up. I just, I was in amazement. Matt Smith's new costume, I loved that. He's sort of got like a sort of John Pertwee-like feel to it now, how it sort of changes the colours as it, like, every episode, like Pertwee did. And, the new title sequence, it was fun to see that with the face, with Matt Smith's face in there. And just all this new stuff to see.
Yeah.
And the Clara plot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What I liked about this episode was, the new intro. I thought that was a lot better than the one we had for the first half of Series 7. They just put a blue filter over the original intro for Series 5. I mean, the intro we got here was a lot better, with the face coming back, which was nice. And also, I liked the Doctor's new costume, his waistcoat, all of that. I liked it a lot better than what he wore in Series 5 and Series 6. I don't know about you, but the suit he wore in the first 2 series, it looked a bit short for him, and Matt Smith even said it was something it was something that someone would put on the Doctor, not what the Doctor would wear. But I like this new. I like the new TARDIS. Reminded me of the 80s TARDIS and the Paul McGann TARDIS with the spinning wheels at the top of the TARDIS. Remind me of that. Very nice retro look. I mean, I liked the themes, the new. I loved all that. It was just, the story, some of the acting, and some of the sets. But, I did enjoy it first time viewing. So, yeah.
Okay, now we move on into what was definitely a far, far better time for Series 7. And we had to wait, but it was worth it. We get to the Bells of St. John. Now, the Bells of St. John to me was, it was an okay episode. I'm not going to, condemn it. It was a lot better, than what we got in the first 5 episodes. But at the same time, I think it could have been a lot better. Let's start with Sammi Carter. Bells of St. John, what did you think?
Well, it was a really good episode, actually. Obviously you've got the Spoonheads.
Spoonheads!
I don't know what to think about the Spoonheads, actually. I mean, they were just robots, really, but
I shall never forget that.
But more importantly,
that Matrix all made about the Spoonheads.
Oh.
True.
They sound like something that belongs in Spy Kids.
Who knows? But Clara, as we know her now in this episode, I mean, it took the Doctor quite a bit of time, because obviously they mentioned the bells of St. John are ringing in Columba, I think it was. I can't remember the location where they were saying the bells of St. John was ringing, but the Doctor was a monk in this one. You've got somebody gave Clara the number, which we don't know about. Who's giving Clara the number? Who knows?
I suspect it may be Martha Jones.
Who knows? It could be. But, you know, brilliant opener. And also a great scenery of London where Matt Smith is riding a motorcycle just like Paul McGann did in the 1996 movie. Absolutely
This was a lot better.
incredible.
What, Will?
Only I think this one was a lot better because I didn't like the TV movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like I said, Freedom, absolutely incredible story, and yeah, another 10 out of 10.
Okay. All
Sorry
right.
if you can't hear me that well, I'm just making my bed right now, I'm multitasking.
Okay, Will, what'd you think of it?
I'm going to take a break. Right, Bella St. John, I mean, originally I was really looking forward to this because, you know, it looked really, really good. But then when it aired, I was like, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. It was average. I mean, most, I'll admit, there were some, like, pretty boring parts. But there are also moments that really, where it really, really shone. Like the plane scene. My God, that is probably my favourite scene from the whole episode. And one of my favourite moments from Series 7 overall. When I first saw it on the advert, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be Time Flight all over again. But actually, this was a lot better than that piece of crap that was Time Flight. But yeah, I actually loved the chemistry again, just like in a Snowman, between Matt Smith and Jenna-Louise Coleman as the Doctor and Clara in this. I thought they were really good actors, and I thought they, you know, worked well with each other. However, I do think the Spoonheads were underused, like the Snowmen were in The Snowmen. Yeah, I do think Moffat has been underusing his villains recently, but it was pretty, you know, it was average. I did like the great intelligence at the end. I thought Richard E. Grant's acting, though it was very brief, was a lot better than it was in The Snowmen. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Nothing too, well, not exactly good. Nothing too special, just very mediocre, I'd say. 5 out of 10.
Okay. Jack? Jack's been taken by the Spoonheads!
Not the Wi-Fi. I told you not to click on that man.
Did you click on the Wi-Fi? All right.
I think you did.
All right. We'll come.
First got the Angels, then we got the Wi-Fi. My God, this is just awesome.
Okay, we'll come back to Jack. Ryan, what do you think?
I was very not paying attention throughout this episode because I was at a friend's house and it was his birthday and we were watching it together. He's not a big Doctor Who fan, but he was kind enough to let me watch it. And yeah, I was just sort of tuning in and out of it, really. But it was, one of my other friends says this as well, it was good for an episode, but not really as a season opener, if you can call it a season opener.
Mid-season.
And, yeah, I guess it was an interesting premise with the whole Wi-Fi thing.
Hello? Sorry,
Jack, you're echoing.
I'm echoing.
Yeah, I got to get Sammi Carter back. We just lost him. But okay, so yeah, you didn't get a chance to really catch a whole lot of this one then, Ryan.
I caught a majority of it. There was just a few bits where I was...
So it didn't exactly ring your bell, so to speak.
Are we still on the Bells Asylum one?
Oh, we're still going. I'm just trying to get Sammi back, because...
Right, I was just talking to somebody there. But, if you want to hear my opinion about Bells of St. John, I was looking forward to it because, you know, it's, Doctor Who had... here he is.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, I'm guys.
Right.
He got lost in the Wi-Fi.
Right. We definitely need to edit some of these bits out.
I don't like to do edits too much, but I'll do the best I can, all right?
Yeah. Just edit the bits out when there's a lot of interruption stuff. Yeah. But yeah, Bells of St. John. I just thought, when I saw the whole Wi-Fi and people being sucked in the Wi-Fi, that reminded me a lot of the Idiot's Lantern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just seemed to be like the Idiot's Lantern, but only crapper. I say that because, I don't know, the Spoonheads, they look kind of ridiculous to me, and their names. I mean, it was nice to see Clara, that anti-grav bike, and Doctor going up the side of the building. That was okay. I don't know, it didn't really, I wasn't really a big fan of that, but I don't know. I like the whole obedience thing, that obedience slider, her having that tablet, which can decide which emotions to use. Thought that was nice. Although I don't understand why didn't she put the obedience slider to like 100% for like all the employees? That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Green Intelligence was quite good in this, even for like the 5 seconds he was on screen. And then at the end where she's like, Mummy, because she forgot her memory. That was a nice scene. But I don't know, I just thought it was Moffat. I just thought Moffat was trying to do a remake of The Idiot's Lantern. So, I wasn't too fussed about the episode. It wasn't much better than The Snowman, to be honest, for me, so I'd probably give it 6 out of 10. It was okay.
Alrighty, so let's move on from that one. Next episode we have lined up, oh boy, and this is the one that really, really caused some major divides in the fans. Where, a lot of people liked it and a lot of people didn't like it. And at the same time, we had big expectations for this one. And it did deliver in some aspects, but in others it fell short. And that was the Rings of akhaten. Sammi Carter, Rings of akhaten, what do you think? Are you still with us, Sammy?
He's got caught by the Wi-Fi again.
Oh no! Now it's Sammy. He's got caught by the Wi-Fi. All right, we'll come. All right, we'll come back to Sammi Carter in a minute. Will, Rings of akhaten, what do you think?
Well, like you said, Dr. Freedom, this really caused some divide in the fan base. I mean, half the fans loved it, half the fans hated it. I liked it. I thought it was definitely better than the Bells of St. John. I thought it was a good introduction to Neil Cross's writing. I thought it was good that even though it felt forced, I did like the fact that we got some backstory on Clara. And also, the symbolism of the leaf and everything, although I did feel that was a bit too sentimental. And I do feel as though it would have been better if that alarm clock was God, but no, it's just an alarm clock. But, I've only seen this one, so I can't really say much about it, but whenever I get Citizen Part 2 on DVD, I definitely will be rewatching it. Anyway, I thought The Queen of Years was a nice addition, although I do think I guess you could say it's a bit pathetic that, she didn't want to sing because she was scared she was getting it wrong. But you know what? She's a child, so it's understandable. But one question I have is, if she's a child, why is she considered a queen? I mean, shouldn't she be considered like a princess or something?
Well, it was a ceremonial position. Kind of like, say for, you have the Grand Marshal of like, of a parade and whatnot. I think that's what it was alluding to.
I suppose you're right. But yeah, overall, there were some things wrong with the episode, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. It was better than the Bells of St. John. I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, Jack.
The Rings of a-hole 10.
Yeah, Doctor Who man's amazed that title is stuck so much.
Yeah. So, here's an episode that I didn't see at the start originally. I was around at my friend's house, came home, saw the last 20 minutes, wasn't really that impressed with it. That mummy looked like, I don't know, some kind of turd. Its head and everything. It didn't do much. It just screamed in a glass box and really did nothing. But I saw the whole episode in iPlayer last night, and now I know why it's called The Rings of Ahole 10.
I know, all that build up, it's the mummy, okay, we're gonna finally see this cool mummy, and it's the big sun thing.
Yeah. I did like the start, though, when it's like Clara's dad walking down the street, and then you hear that song by the Specials, This Place is called like a ghost town. Yeah, Ghost Town, great song. And then you have the Doctor reading the Beano Summer Special. I actually got that Beano magazine recently. Pretty cool read. And anyway, Rings of Akhaten, some of the aliens were so stereotypical. I mean, some of the aliens just look hilarious. I mean, some of them had really long rubber fingers. Some of them were like, oh god, there's this bit where like he's like, can I buy this speeder? And he's like, ooh, 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 or something like that. He's like, rah, rah, or something like that. Oh, the bit where Clara's trying to talk to the alien. She's like, rah, rah, and the Doctor's just like, oh yeah, you're such a nice alien underneath all this. And I was just like, oh god. And that Queen of Years thing, I didn't like the singing. I don't think singing should ever be in Doctor Who. I just think it's corny. I think it's, it was just, god,
That bad.
There's a flush in the toilet bowl.
But hey, I love the Rings of Akhaten. I thought it was an absolute brilliant episode. The singing from the Queens of Years. I love the.
There's one thing
I love Matt Smith's speech. Matt Smith's speech was stuff. When he mentioned, I'm passing of the last great Time War. I've marked the passing of the Time Lords. I've watched the birth of the universe, and I've watched as time ran out. Those sentences were brilliant.
One thing I loved, though, was when he got to the part where he said, I had been to a universe where the laws of physics were devised by a madman.
Man, that's the master.
Or Omega.
Omega, yes, Omega. That's what he meant.
Yeah, it could have been, the master from the land of fiction or Omega.
Yeah.
Yeah, another 10 out of 10 episode. Brilliant. Rings of Akhaten. You're going to love it. And the fact he mentioned Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Susan. You're going to love Susan.
And now we know that's foreshadowing something.
Yeah. Right.
All right, Jack, finishing thoughts. I want to move on to Ryan.
Alright, sorry. Aliens, I just thought were really stereotypical, really stupid rubber monsters, some of them. They're just a stereotype of what aliens should look like. That should be the name for the story from now on. Stephen Moffat needs to edit the DVD so that it will say The Rings of Ahole 10. That's what I believe it is.
Yeah, but then he'd have to give Doctor Who Man a credit for that and pay him some money.
There's one thing I forgot to add.
Yeah?
Sorry, I know Sammi Carter, I think, has pretty much already said this, but the Doctor's speech, bravo.
Yeah, I did like the speech. When I went back and watched it again, I really did like the speech. Okay, so let's move on. Ryan, what'd you think? Rings of Akhaten.
Yeah, before I get to that, I just want to say, does anyone else get a Sylvester McCoy vibe from the new intro?
Kind of, sort of.
Well, if you're talking about the orb part at the beginning, I mean, I guess that's supposed to be a reference to the part where the TARDIS was in the sort of orb thing.
Yeah, like, Sylvester sort of went through the whole space feel, and now this one does. And
I suppose it is a bit like Sylvester McCoy's intro.
And when Sylvester's face comes up, it's sort of all fadey looking, and it sort of just pops up, sort of like that.
Yeah.
I
I love the fact that that they did put the face back in.
Yeah, and it's not just sort of, here it is, it's very subtle.
Yeah.
However, while the intro is good, Xandercom. My God, I love that intro.
Okay, Ryan, Rings of Akhaten.
Yep. I actually didn't mind this episode. I thought it was a visually stunning episode, and quite a beautiful one at that. I didn't mind it. I could see where it might annoy some people in places. But yeah, I didn't mind it. And did anyone else see the Hoyts from like Torchwood and Love and Monsters?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, that's there somewhere with a mask thing on.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Plus the fact we actually, for the first time in a long time, landed on an alien world.
Yeah. But that pretty much sums it up for me.
Okay, now let's move on. Next up on the list, oy vey, here we go. Actually, no, this was actually a pretty good one. This one I really, really liked for Series 7 Part 2, and I thought it was an incredible return of the Ice Warriors, Cold War. All right, Sammi Carter, hit it. Cold War, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, come on, are you kidding me? The Ice Warriors? I mean, they're phenomenal creatures, Going back in the day with Patrick Tran, and, they did brilliantly with the debut with Patrick Tran, and also the Seas of Death, and then the Paladin episodes with John Pertwee, they did brilliant in. You've got to love the Ice Warriors, because the Ice Warriors, they're Martians, and they got mentioned in the waters of Mars. And it was only a matter of time since the Ice Warriors were going to come back. And when they came back, I mean, look at what they did. They did similar stuff to what the Daleks did when they returned in 2005. You actually saw, the actual Ice Warrior, the inside of an Ice Warrior open for the first time. It was so scary and so creepy in that. And then you actually get to see its eyes. Like, ooh, that was what was living inside an Ice Warrior? I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so not only did they bring him back, they added a whole new dimension to the old character. Gotta love that. Also,
Yeah, I gotta love it. I mean,
David Warner.
however, though, despite the fact they didn't bring up anything about the Clara mystery,
Yeah, David Warner, though, man.
I know some people are going to
Gotta
say,
say
oh,
David Warner.
we're glad that Clara's mystery wasn't involved, so maybe I'm going to give this probably a 9 for this one. I think it's really good.
I think I gave this one a 9 out of 10, or actually, I think I gave it an 8 out of 10, but when I go back and watch it again, and I gotta say it again, I can't say it enough, David freaking Warner! We finally got him in a Doctor Who episode, and he had played the Doctor a couple times in the Unbound series in Big Finish, and it was just great to see him on screen with the Doctor. All right, so let's move on. Will, what'd you think? Cold War.
This was my favourite episode of all of Series 7, to be honest. I know all of you are going to disagree with that, but, Cold War, it was a really triumphant return to the Ice Warriors. It was, I suppose, like Sammi Carter said, it was a bit like Dalek by Robert Shearman in a way from Series 1 with Chris Eccleston. We only had one Ice Warrior and we got to see its insides and everything. Although, I suppose you could say I was a tad disappointed with this because I was expecting, loads of action because that's what was in the classic Ice Warrior stories. But you know what? The creep factor really made up for it. I mean, it was really, really atmospheric and creepy when they were hunting for the Ice Warrior. But the thing is, Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran isn't a scary song.
Yeah, it was kind of like Alien meets Hunt for Red October.
I do love the song, but nah, that's just a nitpick. I really didn't mind it. I mean, there were some things that could have been better about this episode. Like, if it was a two-parter, it could have been like, an a 10 out of 10. And, it wasn't the perfect episode, but it was definitely better than every other Series 7 episode, I thought. Although the name of the Doctor does come close, but we're going to be getting to that later.
Yeah.
I give this a 9 out of 10. It was really, really solid, and, it's just unbeatable, really. It's hard to top with the rest of Series 7, so 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay, Jack, Cold War. Jack.
Oh my god, the Ice Warriors got him!
Oh my goodness, I think everything's grabbing you, man. Jack, come back to us. Jack! Okay, we'll move on to Ryan. Ryan, Cold War, what'd you think?
This is my second favorite episode of 7B. And this was actually my first time watching a full Ice Warrior story. I saw bits and pieces of I think I actually listened to the audio version of Monster of Peladon, and after Cold War, my friend lent me Seeds of Death, and I gave that a watch, and I loved it, and just to think that whole time inside that big bulky armor is this little skinny, scrawny creature. And the design of them too, they made them look so much better, in my opinion. They're tank-like, and just that one that shot of his armor just walking forwards with the chains draped around it, just bursting through everything. I love the Ice Warrior. I loved what they did with it.
Okay, Jack?
Sorry, I'm getting all these interruptions. They really want me to watch this David Bowie thing. So, yeah, Cold War. This is the one I really like to talk about because it's probably my favourite of Series 7. I mean, I love the Ice Warriors, saw the Seeds of Death, saw the Ice Warriors before it got animated. And,
Jack!
yeah.
Oh, I thought we lost you there for a second.
My brother came through the door. God, I hate these interruptions. Can people just leave me alone, honestly? Cold War. Yeah, we saw the Ice Warriors again. Yeah, as I was saying, I just love the whole idea of them being in the Antarctic and being, 2 miles deep underneath the water. It was great, and you have the Doctor, you have that drill, and you have that guy coming out with the radio, listening to Ultravox, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do the whole thing, destroying the world tomorrow, as if they don't care. And then you get the Doctor and Clara landing, they're like, Viva Las Vegas, and then the whole ship just crashes and they're going underwater. I loved the way in the Ice Cube you had the Ice Warrior, then the guy's taking the blue torch, it's melting the ice, and then the Ice Warrior's arm comes out, grabs him by the throat, and then you have the title sequence. That was all great, and I just love the atmosphere of this episode. The bit when he's talking to Skaldak and he sends in Clara, that scene where he's on the microphone and he's like, yes, Doctor, tell her what to say next. And the Doctor's just like, and the guy's like, what do you call him? The guy who likes the music, he's just like, I think he'd rather talk to the organ grinder rather than the monkey. And she's like, I heard that. That was great. Yeah, I just love the whole episode, and I was astonished to find that those Russian submarines, were model shots. That was great, because that's the first time we've seen model shots in Doctor Who since the classic series. And yeah, just reintroducing the Ice Warriors. I mean, that bit at the end when he showed his face, I think the CGI was a bit off. I mean, I think the design of the CGI was good. I think they could have just done it with animatronics and it would have looked better. But yeah, there's some great shots. The shot where the submarine lands on the ocean bed, and then that shot, the Ice Warrior about to hit the red button to launch the nuclear warheads. That brilliant bit where you just see the water dripping on the button and dripping on his hands. That was all great. And, you know, for 45 minutes, I know the ending was a little bit rushed, but for 45 minutes, they really went in depth and they really reintroduced the Ice Warriors brilliantly. And it's a shame. I really wish this was a two-parter. It needed to be to make it better. But I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah, great episode. I mean, I think this is the best reintroduction of the classic enemy for a long time. And yeah, Cold War, brilliant. Mark Gatiss is a great writer. And, you know, I'm hoping to see the Ice Warriors again in the future.
Same here. I'm really looking forward to when they do return, especially now that they've redone them, brought them up, you know, to the 21st century. They've done such an excellent job with them. And now, and also, yeah, one thing nobody mentioned, I'm shocked, was for the first time since all the way back in the second Doctor era, we saw the hostile action displacement system get used. You know, it's like, I've been wondering, how come they haven't used this before? Wouldn't it be a little bit handy, you know, if the TARDIS gets attacked, it's gone, you know? But,
oh yeah, that was used for the first time since the Crotons, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so it was nice to see that, you know, a nice little nod back to the second Doctor era, you know, a little of invention that hadn't been used since. But yeah, you got to admit, Mark Gatiss definitely delivered on this one. I can't even emphasize that enough. Now that I've rewatched it a couple times, I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think I'm going to bump it up to a 9. You see, it takes a lot to get out of 10 out of 10 with me, so 9 out of 10 is fantastic. All right.
I know. There are some new series episodes that really deserve 10 out of 10, like Dalek, Parting of the Ways. But I think this one is a modern classic. I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably been my favorite episode for a couple of series now. I mean, I think I think people should definitely watch it. It is a good episode.
This was my favourite episode as well.
Yeah, brilliant episode.
Okay.
Introduction to Daleks.
All right, and so next up, here's another one, you know, that I thought came out a lot better than it did. It could have been better, but, you know, given the fact it covered so much ground and it, you know, it was, oh gosh, you know, I can't say it enough. This one was really, really good. You had DeRay Scott in it, and that is Hyde. Now, this one was shot under 2 different titles. Originally, it was being put as Phantoms of the Hex, and then it was also Hider in the House. I don't know. This one really, really got my juices flowing. It was kind of like the Scooby-Doo episode in a way, but it was well done. Okay, Sammi Carter, what'd you think of Hyde?
Oh, man. That field in the episode, I thought that was the Fields of Trenzalore.
I know.
It got me all hyped up, but you know what? They made a cracking job on that field, getting the Doctors scared like nuts in that episode, the pocket universe and everything. Also, we get to see that this psycho-minded woman is telling Clara not to trust the Doctor because he has ice in his heart, like I said earlier. You know, and it's funny that that the ghost turns out to be a time traveler who is running away from an alien who's basically looking for his love, basically.
Yeah, I love that twist.
Yeah, very awkward storyline, but I tell you now, it's you know, I have to admit, it's really good. I mean, I might have to give this probably 9, I'd say. I mean, it's a good story. I mean, you can't go wrong with Hyde. Hyde, brilliant ghost story. Maybe they could do more of it in Series 8 if they must, you know.
Okay, Will.
Alright, now, when this episode first aired, it was in broad daylight, but the thing is, I couldn't see it. I was annoyed because, well, I was I had to go to a party. It was my second cousin's first birthday party. Yeah, I know, cute, right? Anyway, so, but I'm glad that I missed it on its first broadcast, because I recorded it, and like when I went back to my house, like it was like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or something. It was in the dark, and I thought this is the perfect time to watch Hyde. So I watched it, and I think it was much better watching it, in the dark, because it added to the creep factor. But to be honest, it wasn't one of the best of Series 7. Like, it wasn't as good as The Rings of Akhaten, but it was still alright. Still pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've only seen this once as well, so I'm really not got much to say about it. But I do think that this was definitely a decent episode. I like the little Ghostbusters reference at the beginning that Clara made. I thought that was pretty good. Although I was disappointed. I did think, that, like, when I first watched this, I thought it was, when I first saw the Next Time trailer for this, I thought it was, going to be like the Sarah Jane Adventures episode, The Eternity Trap with Erasmus Darkening. Unfortunately, I didn't find it, as creepy as that, but, it was still decent. I didn't really like the ending, I don't like Neil Cross's endings. They seem a bit too sentimental. Like, first we had how God died in The Rings of Akhaten, now we have this. Sentimental, it's not really my cup of tea. It was a bit like, it's like trying to mix Romeo and Juliet with Count Dracula, really. It's just like, it wasn't really, like, the ending could have been so much better if they would have just left out the whole Romeo and Juliet aspect of things. But it was still a decent episode. I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, Jack.
Yes, Hyde. I was rewatching this again, and I really liked this episode. I thought, like, after Cold War we were gonna get another mediocre episode or a bad episode, but no, I liked it. As Will said, the only thing I didn't like about it was, I know you and Sammy Freedom liked the love relationship at the end, the twist. I just thought it was tacked on. I just thought it was silly. I thought it was stupid. I thought it detracted from the episode. But, I mean, I thought it was really creepy, really atmospheric. And the actor who played the prisoner of war guy, the guy with the glasses and the big coat.
Ray Scott.
Yeah, he was a great actor. I loved him. And that anorak he was wearing, it reminded me so much of what the Seventh Doctor wore in Curse of Fenric. That anorak, it just reminded me so much of it. And I liked it. Really creepy, really atmospheric. I liked the way it wasn't a ghost, it was a person from the future being brought back to the present day. I thought that was cool. But as I say, it was a good episode. It had some really great atmosphere. The only thing that took away from it a little bit was just that tacked on ending. So yeah. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. A very good episode, but I would just cut out the last 10 minutes.
Okay, Ryan, what do you think of Hyde?
I like the beginning parts of it, like the whole ghost story sort of deal, because I'm real like into horror and everything, so that it was very chilling. Then when they brought in the whole it was the girl in the pocket universe running, I'm like, okay, yeah, still the sci-fi show, that's cool. And then when the Doctor was trapped there and he had to run away from the crooked man, and that just beautifully shot. The creature looked really, the crooked man looked really stupid when it was shot close up, but it looked really menacing from like a distance.
Yeah.
And I thought it had, like you said, Jack, tacked on ending, and it's like, it's not actually a ghost, it's
a love story.
Girl. Then near the end, it's the whole, she's like your great granddaughter or whatever it was, And then the whole, oh, it's just love thing. It was just a little tacked on to my tastes.
Yeah, I thought the enemy, you were saying it's stupid. Yeah, my friend said it looked like a ball sack.
But one thing I'm shocked none of you have brought up is this was the first time we had a reference to the Metabellus crystals.
Metabellus.
Yes, yeah. They called it Metabellus.
Yeah, well, I found out later, Matt Smith, when he was on set, did pronounce it correctly. It's just when they went in to do the ADR looping, that's when he didn't have anyone there, to remind him, that's when he did Metabellus. So that's how that happened. So, also, my other favorite scene out of this also was when, Clara arguing with the TARDIS. When she's beating on that door, let me in, you silly old cow! That, yeah. I was laughing at that. I was almost fell out of my seat.
And I love when he takes her to the future, to the whole desolate Earth, and she realized that they're just like humans are ghosts to him and everything.
Oh yes, another very powerful scene there. Are we all ghosts to you? That she's getting her first look at his perspective. Yeah, I love that part. That's another reason why I gave this one. I think I originally gave it an 8 out of 10 if I remember correctly. And I think I'd even bump it up to a 9 now that I look at it, with all these little moments. And, first time we had the Metabellus crystals mentioned since the Third Doctor era. And, it just, to me, I thought it was incredibly fun, especially also, and then the parts where, they were really getting into the dark, chilling, suspenseful scenes where they're walking around in a mansion. Kind of reminded me of Image of the Fendal, Horror of Fang Rock, those kind of episodes. Talons of Wang Chiang, where you had that dark scenery with the suspense building, and building.
I just love the whole "I'm not holding your hand" bit, and then they just run off and scream.
Yeah. This episode Hyde, I think the setting and stuff sort of reminded me of Ghostlight. You know Ghostlight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the whole setting and everything. When I saw this episode, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be another Ghostlight. I like Ghostlight. I mean, some people think it's confusing, and it is a bit, but I think it's a good story as well. But Hyde, I'd have to agree with Will. When they broadcast this in the UK, it was basically it's summer here already. Basically, well, it's British summertime, and it's broad daylight. So when you're watching it, it's not very atmospheric. I think they should have showed this in the first part of the series just to get more of that creepy atmosphere. But it was a good episode.
Okay.
We get it.
What, Ryan?
7:30.
What was that, Ryan?
We just get it at 7:30 at night, so it's pretty much dark down here by the time it airs.
All right. Okay, now guys, here's the one that caused. Oh gosh, I don't think there's been such a big divide in Doctor Who since the Dalek Civil War. Journey to the center of the TARDIS. TARDIS. This is one that really had the fans divided. We had a group of fans who really loved it, and once again, a real group of fans who wanted to throw up and just jump off a building. It was just really, really pandemonium after this one aired. But I want to hear your guys' view on it. To me, it was, oh my God, I won't even begin. I don't want to get started on a down note. So let's start. Sammi Carter, what did you think of Journey to the Center of the TARDIS?
Well, parts of it I like, and parts of, the bits, seeing a little glimpse of the swimming pool, that was really cool. You get to see some stuff that you've never seen before in the TARDIS. The fact that they've got the sort of outside area. You also get to see the engine of the TARDIS. The Eye of Harmony is in there. At least some bits were good of it, but obviously it could have done with a much better story, obviously. So, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10 for this one. I mean, as much as I can say about it, it's got good parts of scenery, but it could have been a better story, really.
Alrighty, Will. Here it comes. Everybody strap
My
in.
God. If it wasn't for Asylum of the Daleks, this would be the worst of Series 7. But it's definitely the worst of Series 7 Part 2 anyway. Okay. I actually knew this was going to suck from the very start because it's written by Stephen Thompson and he wrote probably one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who Series 6, The Curse of the Black Spots.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Ugh.
So I knew this was going to suck, but at the same time I was kind of hoping it to be good because it's like, I was just thinking, we've had like stuff like this before, like Peter Grimwade, for example, wrote Time Flight, which was like one of the worst Doctor Who episodes ever, but then he redeemed himself with Mordrin Undead, which is really, to be honest, my favourite Peter Davison story. But anyway, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, or as Matrix always calls it, and I like to agree with him, Journey to the Centre of the Toilet. Alright, okay. I mean, I hated this, because, the people who played the Van Halen, or Van whatever they were called, brothers, they really weren't good actors at all. I mean, they was just, it's like Terminus, for example. I'm not sure if you've seen Terminus. The actors in that didn't put much effort into their performances, and the same thing happened here. It was just really, really bad acting. And also, the explanation for, them coming up with androids, it was a stupid joke. I mean, come on. Since, like, Stephen Thompson, I think, probably was, I don't know, I think must be a drug addict because in both of his scripts for Doctor Who, he's just cocked it up really badly. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some good moments, like that scene between the Doctor and Clara, when he's like, why do I keep meeting you, blah, blah, blah. That was the only redeeming quality of this episode. And while we did get a glance of the TARDIS swimming pool, we were promised to see more of the TARDIS than ever before, and all we saw, really, was more corridors.
Exactly. That was one of the only things I didn't like about The Doctor's Wife, which I thought was one of the greatest, most epic episodes so far of the new series, was the fact that, all you saw were corridors. That drove me bonkers. I just wanted to go nuts. I'm like, go into somewhere. I think the only room we ever actually saw in depth in this whole episode was the library. And I wanted to see more. I wanted to see the inside of the swimming pool room. I wanted to see the inside of this. I wanted to see the TARDIS garden again. But it just failed to deliver in so many ways. And once again, the guy who, thought he was an android, don't you think the first time he took a trip to the loo, he would have figured out he wasn't one? It's like, what did they tell him? You're leaking lubricants, or you're, what are you doing? Reformatting the hard drive every time you take a dump? It's like, come on, you had to have figured out by now you're not an android. But,
Alright, so obviously you can tell I did not like this episode. I'm very glad that Stephen Thompson erased it from the timeline. Overall, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah,
I'll be right back. I'm just going to do some things to get ready for bed because my dad is urging me to get ready for bed right now.
Don't worry, we only got one more to go after this one. So,
it's 10:46.
Yeah.
7 here in the UK, so yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we've got 3 more left.
Well, all right, that's right, we do. Oh, heck, that's right. All right, let's go. Well, yeah, that's right. You're right. We do have 3 more left, but we'll go through those really quick then. All right. Next up, Jack, what'd you think?
I'll be right back.
Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Hit it.
Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. If you look at all the classic series, you definitely see more of the TARDIS in this episode. Stephen Moffat was complaining so much that Invasion of Time was such a letdown. And it wasn't. We actually saw Leela in the swimming pool, and we had that nice garden place where Barusa was hanging out reading the Titanic newspaper. I don't know. I don't want to sound racist, but those 3 black actors were really terrible, honestly. So bad. The tall black guy, he was the worst actor, I have to say. he talked like this and he had no emotion in his voice. You know what I'm saying? His voice was so hoarse. And, what I did like about the episode, I liked the library, sort of like the book in the Time War, but I didn't like the way she said, oh yeah, your name is, you know, in such a casual way. I sort of knew already that this episode was going to have a lot of corridors in it because I did read something before during the Descent of the TARDIS, and I prayed that this wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I mean, oh god, it was just running through corridors. Clara getting confused. I mean, we had shots of the library. It was okay. I mean, I know you, Dr. Freedom, liked the whole Eye of Harmony thing. Didn't you like the whole gantry in the Eye of Harmony?
That was probably the only redeeming quality.
Yeah, I didn't like it, to be honest. I mean, after what we saw in the TV movie, I thought that great big blue eye in the middle of the in the room with all the leaves and stuff, I thought that was a lot better than the Eye of Harmony we saw here, which was basically just a sun and a gantry. I did like the time zombies though. I thought they were alright, to be honest. Sort of reminded me of those androids from Earthshock.
Yeah.
Their faces, sort of the way they moved. But I just thought it was pretty stupid, the whole reset button. You know, I thought when I read the episode synopsis in the newspaper, I thought, yeah, this is going to be an episode of Steptoe and Son. You know, like in America it's Sanford and Son, but it's actually Steptoe and Son over here. American knockoff, but I think G-Doctor pointed this out last time. But yeah, I mean, there were some good moments. I liked the whole shot of the big space junk carrier at the start, that nice CGI scene. I thought that looked pretty good. But you know, the supporting actors were terrible. Didn't see that much of the TARDIS, and you know, the whole reset button. You know, it was a real stinker. I'd probably have to give it a 2 out of 10.
Okay. Ryan, Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
I think it's been given the wrong name. It should be called Journey Through the Corridors of the TARDIS. That's all. Honestly, all I have to say about this episode.
All right, let's move on then. This is one that was definitely, more upbeat, was a lot better, than that episode we were just talking about. Definitely a lot better, and that was the Crimson Horror, because this one had the Paternoster Gang. It was kind of a different take. We had Dame Diana Rigg and her daughter Rachel Sterling, and I thought this one was pretty good compared. And then again, I think Love and Monsters is probably better than Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. But okay, Sammi Carter, what'd you think? Crimson Horror.
Well, I mean, it's great to see Strax, Madame Astra, Jenny back. They were absolutely brilliant companions for the Doctor. Obviously, you see the Doctor as a zombie, sort of red zombie person, being infected by this so-called liquid, which makes the Crimson Horror. You also see Clara stuck inside a mirror ball, or whatever they call it, and I also like the flashback scenes where they made it old-fashioned. I love that, and it was a great story. 9 out of 10. Incredible
Alrighty.
story, incredible way they laid out the episode, and I just and also the creature on Mr. Gilliflower. I mean, wow.
I know, I called it the space herpy, but
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love Strax. You gotta love everybody, and also you gotta love the moment where Matt Smith was kissing Jenny. I like. Aye.
Okay, Will, what'd you think? Crimson Horror.
The Crimson Horror. Well, this was certainly better than Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, but at the same time, honestly, I didn't think it was that good. Well, fun fact before we get into this, I actually live in Yorkshire. So, yeah. But from where I live, West Yorkshire, we don't really talk like how with the doctor talks. You're like, oh yeah, we're in Yorkshire, aren't we? Yeah, Clara, love. Yeah. Um, it wasn't really that good. I mean, I felt as though it had the potential to be a pretty good horror story because horror's in the title, the Crimson Horror, but. I mean, it was okay. I mean, we had, I mean, to be honest, I didn't think the, Matt Smith just being all that red painted
Oh, okay.
gurning was scary. I thought that was just plain silly. I mean, I know this was intended to be fun, light-hearted, but, it was alright. Not one of the best. I mean, my best friend thought it was rubbish, but I wouldn't go that far. I mean, that one thing I forgot to mention about the snowmen, Vastra, Jenny, and Strax were all freaking awesome in this one. I actually, unlike a lot of people, I actually thought the Thomas joke was pretty funny. But one question though, who would name their child Thomas?
I know, some pretty cruel parents.
Yeah. And also, this was before sat-navs were even invented.
Ah.
So, yeah. But,
Maybe he jumped through the Doctor's timeline as well.
Good point.
I thought it was absolutely hilarious, to be honest. Whenever Strax got overexcited, he just came in shooting everywhere, and Vastra said, "Have you been eating Jenny's?" Oh, I forgot what they're called because again I've only listened to this episode once. And he's thinking again. He's like, "Oh, I'm off to play with my grenades now." that was pretty funny. It's like Strax is obsessed with grenades.
Well, he's a Sontaran. What can you expect?
Oh yeah. So overall, decent episode. Not too brilliant. Although to be honest, I wasn't expecting Mr. Sweet to be that thing. I actually was expecting Mr. Sweet to be the Great Intelligence. But you know what? It was alright. It was not too bad. Could have been better. 5 out of 10.
All right, Jack.
Yeah, Crimson Horror. Oh well, this episode I actually quite enjoyed as well. I mean, we have to start. There's this nice reference to the Fifth Doctor when he's like, I had to bring this gobby Australian to Heathrow Airport, and then he's saying to Clara, Braveheart Clara and all that. That was a nice reference. And then we get into the episode. I really liked Diana Rigg's character. I thought she was she acted magnificently. She was a great villain in this episode. I liked her daughter playing, her actual daughter in the episodes as well. The whole thing with them, putting the people into the sort of, how can I describe, sort of like bubblegum stuff, the Crimson Horror, them putting all the people in. I thought that was quite scary. But the whole Matt Smith thing, I thought, yeah, that was a bit weird. It was, I remember that bit where Jenny opens the door. Jenny puts the Doctor into this thing that'll make him human again, and then he just kisses her all of a sudden. I don't know why, but I don't know. It seems like the snowman, the Christmas Carol people are kissing the Doctor, or the Doctor's kissing people out of nowhere, which is a bit strange.
Yeah.
But to be honest, what I liked about the episode was those people, her officers, whatever. They sort of reminded me of those officers from Vengeance and Varos. You know what I'm saying? The sort of clothes they wore. The officers. So it reminded me of that. And the bit where Clara gets a chair and shoves it in the organ thing and that stops the rocket, whatever. I thought that was nice. You know, instead of the Doctor using his sonic screwdriver. That's the only complaint I've been having recently is in this series, and yeah, ever since Matt Smith's taken over, he's been using the Sonic to excess, if you know what I mean. He's been taking it out every 5 seconds, and it just seems to be, you know, just some kind of play toy, honestly, because he can lock anything, he could do anything with the Sonic screwdriver. I just think they're overusing it. I think a good thing about what John Nathan Turner did, I thought what was good was him destroying the sonic screwdriver for a while, because the sonic screwdriver was letting writers get out of resolving the plot in an original way. They could just say, you know, oh, he takes out the sonic and he blows up the factory. No, John Nathan Turner got rid of it for a while, and that's what I liked. I think now is the time to get rid of the sonic screwdriver for a while. I think it's overused. That's what I have to say about the whole screwdriver thing. But what I loved about Diana Rigg's character was she was sort of like a female version of Hitler. The whole eugenics thing, and you know, saying to her daughter that she's impure and she can't come with them. That was a great scene where her daughter finds out about her mother. And then, you know, Diana Rigg's character being such a nasty woman that she is, she gets out that revolver, points it at her neck, and she's like, if you come after me, I'll shoot her. I mean, this character is really messed up, and then we get the scene where we find Mr. Sweet. Now, I know a lot of you like the Primeval Slime. I didn't. I thought it was a bit pathetic, to be honest. I agreed with Doctor Who Man in the podcast. I thought it was a stupid rubber monster. I mean, those eyes, they were just, it looked adorable, to be honest. It didn't look disturbing, it looked adorable. Sort of reminded me of the way the Slavine's eyes, the way of Mr. Sweet. And, you know, I thought it was a pretty cheap monster. That's the only thing that detracted from the episode, was the monster. But I like the bit where they're on the gantry and all that. I know you have gripes about the rocket launcher taking off and them not dying in the flames, but I like the whole scene where the Doctor's talking to her. But as I say, the monster was a bit cheap looking, sort of reminded me of the Slovene. But overall, it was a good episode. Diana Rigg was amazing. You know, the references and stuff they had about the Fifth Doctor, that was good. So overall, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Good episode.
Yeah, that to me it reminded me of the space herpy from the Ice Pirates. Yeah, that little thing, Mr. Sweet. Okay, Ryan, what'd you think of the Crimson Horror?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. And well, you're not the only one. I thought when she started playing the organ and the whole machine came out, I'm like, oh god, Mrs. Sweet's a great intelligence. You know, I thought, yeah, the great intelligence was going to pop up again.
Yeah.
But, no. Yeah, it did look stupid when... Yeah, it did look stupid when Matt Smith was all painted up red. I sort of saw it coming that he was the monster. Yeah, and, what was I going to say? I forgot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think there's silences around.
A good silence.
No, anyway, move on.
All right. Next up, Nightmare in Silver. Now, this was the second episode for, you know, the new Doctor Who done by Neil Gaiman. And once again, we had a divide. We had people who really liked it, really people who just thought it stunk. Me, I kind of liked it. It had its merits, but at the same time, it did have its drawbacks. Sammi Carter, what did you think of Nightmare in Silver with the return of the Cybermen?
Oh man, I love the Cybermen's return. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. You gotta love the Cybermen's return. They were absolutely tremendous. Neil Gaiman, absolutely incredible. He brought out the the Time Lord stuff out of the Doctor. You know what I mean? It's just really, you're always in for a surprise when Neil Gaiman is writing. I mean, come on, and more importantly, um, the way that Matt Smith was acting, saying "Add all Z" and doing the stuff, pretending to impersonate Christopher Eccleston. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, people. Bravo, Matt. Bravo.
Yeah, Matt Smith did seem to carry this one quite a bit, and I liked his scenes where he was, himself and the cyber controller. And I had a lot of fans saying, well, we've never seen partially converted Cybermen before, and they took this from the Borg. I'm like, wrong. You've seen that before. They had it in Attack of the Cybermen back in the Sixth Doctor era. You had Toberman all the way back in Tomb of the Cybermen. He was a partially converted Cyberman. So, no, it wasn't a new concept. But, yeah, I have to agree with you, Matt.
I also do believe that these are the Mondas Cybermen.
Yeah, that's what they were. That's what they were supposed to be. The reason I like this... Sorry, Sammy?
Yeah, like I said, 10 out of 10. Brilliant story. Thank you, Neil Gaiman. Please write the Yeti. Please write the Yeti.
Yeah, the real reason I like this one, though, despite its shortcomings, was the fact that now the Cybermen are once again an actual, legitimate threat. They're not just these clunky guys who march around and get wiped out by the dozen. So
we all know how bad closing time was. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Why would you convert James Corden into your controller?
I still can't figure that one out. I don't know what they were thinking. Okay, Will, what'd you think? Will?
He's being converted.
He's been converted by the Cybermen.
Sorry about that, my dad interrupted. Alright, we've got to do this real quick, guys, because I've got 20 minutes left.
Okay. Just give us a quick thought. Nightmare in Silver.
Well, Nightmare in Silver, I obviously had really high expectations for this one because it was written by Neil Gaiman, who wrote the best episode of Series 6, The Doctor's Wife, and also had the Return of the Cybermen, one of my favourite villains. I'll admit, when this first aired, I was a tiny bit disappointed because, it was pretty good, but it could have been better. The two things that really let this episode down were the kids...
Yeah.
And the fact that it wasn't a two-parter.
Yeah.
If it was a two-parter, it could have been so much better. And also, one thing I've got to say, the Cybermen, I know a lot of people said they look like, Iron Man, but, I really didn't notice that at first, but, they did look a bit like Iron Man. But
yeah.
It's one of the better designs. I do think these designs are better than the Cyber Swans, and I even go as far to say as they're better than the designs from Earthshock, The Five Doctors, Attack of the Cybermen, and Silver Nemesis. But, yeah, it could have been better. Matt Smith's acting, though, was phenomenal as a Cyber Planet. I absolutely loved his acting there. And, you know what, it was a great episode. I give it well, not great, but it was good. I give it a 7 out of 10, despite its flaws. It could have been better. But you know what? It was pretty good. I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, Jack, Nightmare in Silver. What'd you think?
Well, I did a podcast on this one with you, and as you know, I thought it was a really good episode. And I rewatched it again last night, and I still think it is a great episode. It brings back all those classic references and all those great stuff from previous Cybermen episodes. I like the start where they're on that amusement park and, those troopers who I said their uniform sort of reminds me of what they wore in Earthshock. I liked the guy who owned the museum, and, I thought he was good as the partially upgraded Cyberman. I like the whole thing with the Cybermen in the chess game. That was good. What else? I like Porridge. Porridge was a good character. I liked him. He was enjoyable, and I felt quite sad for him at the end when Jenna said she wouldn't marry him. I felt kind of sad for him, but I thought Matt Smith was good as the cyber planner. The only thing I would say though was it was hard to distinguish between who was Matt Smith and who was a cyber planner. I mean, some doctors like Tom Baker, he could play completely possessed beings. I mean, in Pyramids of Mars, you know, oh god, you could tell that that wasn't the Doctor. I mean, people like Tom Baker and stuff, they could really play a darker side. They could really pretend to be possessed. Matt Smith, he sort of does that, but you know, it is sort of hard to distinguish. But I think he was good as a cyber planner. And this whole thing about the Borg, seriously, screw those people who think that the Cybermen are ripping off the Borg, because the Cybermen have been around since 1966. And, you know, we've seen partially converted Cybermen even before the Borg came on to Star Trek. So, you know, I don't know what they're complaining about. But I did like the bit where he's saying your weakness is cleaning fluid, and then he's like, but you still use gold. And then he puts a gold ticket on his head. That was good. I like them bringing back the whole gold weakness. Yeah, so Cybermen redesign, I thought they were a lot better than the Cybermen. Their faces sort of reminded me of the Cybermen design from The Wheel in Space. Those sort of teardrop eyes and that teardrop mouth sort of remind me of the design from that story. They were a lot sleeker, a lot cooler looking, and you know, I liked the chess game, and I thought it was a good episode. A lot of good references. Although there were a couple of weaknesses, I dropped it from 10 to 9, but it was a good episode. I mean, I would rewatch this again, because I mean, it really does reestablish them as a threat. And you know, after closing time, I was just shocked, because Cybermen are one of my favorite villains, and closing time they were just stupid. You know, they were only in there for like 5 minutes at the end, and they brought back the Cybermats, but they didn't do anything. I mean, closing time was awful. The way James Corden could defeat the Cybermen with love, I thought that was completely hilarious. You know, I know, Freedom, you like James Corden in Doctor Who. I don't. I can't stand James Corden.
I like James Corden in Doctor Who, but not in that episode. So
Yeah, I don't like him in The Lodger either. I don't know. I don't think he's a good actor. He should just stick to football, as far as I'm concerned. Glad he wasn't in this series.
I think James Corden is hilarious both in Doctor Who and out.
No, I think he should stick to his football. I mean, I just think bringing in James Corden was just a wrong move. But anyway, back to Nightmare in Silver. This was a really good story. You had Clara taking control, and you had this new Cybermen, and the sets, they were very colourful and very nice. You know, at the start in the museum, Freedom, doesn't that remind you of the start of the Shada video with Tom Baker?
yeah,
All those monsters. Yeah, when I saw that reminded me of Shada. And at the end, I mean, I know them blowing up the Cybermen seemed a bit of a lame excuse, but I thought it worked. I mean, and this is the first episode of the new series with the name Silver in the title. I mean, Russell T Davies said that the Cybermen should be steel, and that's what he always thought they were. But, you know, Neil Gaiman and Moffat brought them back to being silver enemies. I mean, Silver Nemesis was the last classic Cyberman story, and now we have Nightmare in Silver, which brings back the old Cybermen and really reassures us that the Mondas Cybermen haven't been destroyed. But overall, I thought it was a great episode, and it's probably my second favourite of the series so far.
okay. So Orion, what'd you think? Nightmare in Silver.
It's my third favorite episode of this 7B. You know, I was looking forward to the Cybermen coming back after closing time. Jeez, that nearly ruined them, didn't it?
Awful.
This redesign, I just love it when they walk out of the tomb-looking things. How it looked like the tombs.
Yeah.
And
Tomb of the Cybermen and all that, yeah.
Yeah, and I just love the cyber planner when the Cybermen are approaching and he's like, "They're here." That was so chilling, just hearing him yell that. And the Cybermen aren't scary in a way like they used to be, but they're more terrifying in the fact that they're unstoppable now, pretty much.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about this episode, Batman March brought up, was that the Cybermen could remove their heads and remove their hands.
Yeah.
It sort of detracted from them being Cybermen, because if you think of a Cyberman, I don't think of Cybermen as just brains inside of suits. I think of them as, like, you know, whole bodies converted. So it was a bit. I didn't really like it when they took off their heads and stuff.
Yeah.
But Nightmare in Silver, I did like, and the only thing I have to say about Matt Smith's impersonations is, I didn't think he did a great impersonation of Christopher Eccleston. But yeah.
Okay, so
I think when the Cybermen come back in the 50th, Robert Downey Jr. needs to play the Cyber Controller.
there we go. Okay, so Nightmare in Silver, I think we all had a pretty good feeling about it, and now we come to the end of the road, the Fields of Trenzalore, the big chalupa, the big honcho, the big game changer itself, the name of the Doctor. Oh man, this is one that, you know, kind of grips you all the way to the end, and then you get to that last couple of minutes with John Hurt standing there, and it's like he says that, what I did in the name of peace and sanity. And why do I have a flashback to Merlin? You know, for a second there. But okay, Sammi Carter, what did you think? Name of the Doctor.
Oh man, the name of the Doctor. My God, an incredible story. I'm gonna say incredible story. Definitely. John Hurt being told as the Doctor makes you wonder, who is John Hurt's Doctor? Is he a proper Doctor? Is he a forgotten one? Is he a secret one? You know, nobody knows. But Jenna-Louise Coleman behind all the, and also those sceneries with the classic Doctors. I mean, come on, this was sensational. And more importantly, you see the great intelligence and trying to get into the tomb of the Doctor. Also, you have that chilling scene with Jenny thinking that she's dead. You get Riversong back, possibly as the last time from the library. You know, this builds up to the 50th anniversary in my eyes. I mean, I'm probably going to give it, after watching it again, I'm pretty much going to say it's going to be a 9. Yeah, I think a 9's a good score for this one. The unofficial prequel to the 50th anniversary, definitely.
I know you got so much in 45 minutes. It was mind-blowing. You know, it was shocked that they were able to fit all that in there. Plus, we got that brand new piece of, you know, Doctor Who, you know, history, where we actually got to see, you know, William Hartnell, you know, stealing the TARDIS with Susan. Oh, man. This one just blew my mind away when I saw it. Will, what'd you think of Name of the Doctor?
Easily Stephen Moffat's best script since A Good Man Goes to War. This one was awesome. I mean, I'll admit, you know, at first I was a bit hesitant for it because, you know, it was written by Stephen Moffat, and I really wasn't too fond of his recent stories. I mean, there were any story he wrote in between A Good Man Goes to War and Name of the Doctor, in my eyes, was either mediocre or crap. But, so I think that this was, like I said, definitely his best script since A Good Man Goes to War. I mean, I loved the throwback to the classic Doctors, and, you know, especially we finally get to see how the Doctor managed to choose the right TARDIS to leave Gallifrey, and also the great intelligence. Richard E. Grant's acting here was phenomenal. I mean, it was so much better than it was in the Snowman, where he just, he was supposed to be playing a human being, and while he was supposed to be playing a bitter, heartless one, that's no excuse for him to, just not put any effort in, but he really put effort into this one, and, I really wasn't expecting this to be as good as it was, and my mind was just blown by this. I was shocked by how good it was. Honestly, 9 out of 10 for me. The only reason it doesn't get a 10 is because, there were some things that could have been better, like, it needed to be a 2-part finale. Like, come on, we need to bring back 2-part finales. In fact, we need to bring back 2 parts in general.
Well, definitely.
It does say at the end of the episode to be continued, so
well,
I guess
suppose it is at the end of the finale. I suppose, they, like, the 50th anniversary special will be the Name of the Doctor Part 2, but for now I'm just going to consider it, a standalone episode until I actually see what happens in the 50th. But, yeah, so I also thought, River Song this was the first time I actually thought she was really good since The Good Man Goes to War. And Vast Virginian Strikes were, I really like the way they turned. The only reason that this didn't get a 10 actually was probably because the Whispermen could have done more. And, they didn't really feel like a proper villain. They were creepy, yeah. But with the exception of stopping the hearts of the Doctor's friends, they didn't really do much. It was just another classic example of what Moffat had been doing recently, with underusing his villains. He did it with the Spoonheads and he did it with the Snowmen. But overall, is Moffat's best script since A Good Man Goes to War, definitely. I'd give this a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
And I'm probably going to have to go soon, so I might have to leave early.
That's all right. If you want to pop out now, we're just going to finish up. Then I'm just going to say bye to everybody. So.
It's all right. Well, I'll just see what happens and.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Jack. Here we go. Name of the Doctor. What did you think?
Great episode, honestly. When I first saw it, my dad asked me about it at the end, and I said it was odd. Odd because of what actually happened in the episode. But I love the start when the mechanics are looking at the they're looking at the screen and they're like, what kind of idiot would steal a malfunctioning TARDIS? And then you have that really nice shot of Gallifrey, and I love the Doctors in it. I mean, I wanted to see more. I'd have loved it. The whole episode was just based around Clara, going for the Doctor's time stream and sort of interacting with him. But I really like the Doctors returning. I mean, of course, it was all archive footage, which isn't great, but I mean, it's still pretty good that we see the Doctors in it. Of course, one of my favourite scenes where Clara meets the Doctor is Patrick Troughton in Miami, still wearing that fur coat, running past all those people. That was taken from the 2 Doctors, and Clara shouting in the mirror, and John Pertwee looking at her. That was from the 5 Doctors as well. But I thought that was really nice seeing all the Doctors. There was only one green screen effect that I thought was a bit dodgy, is that bit from the Invasion of Time when the Doctor's walking down the corridor and then Clara turns around. That looked a bit, you could tell that was sort of fake. But I mean, Strax, I like the whole barroom scene where he smashes through the window in Glasgow and then he asks the guy to knock him out. I thought that was good. I liked the whole dream sequence thing. That was quite nice. About Strax, I haven't really talked about him that much, but I think some of his humour is quite forced in some of the episodes. I mean, he's a funny character, but, some of the humour seems a bit unnecessary. I mean, there's this chilling scene where Jenny's like, I think I'm being murdered, and then Strax sort of ruins it by saying, speak up, boy! You know what I'm saying? Sort of takes away from the tension in some of those scenes. I think some of the shoots were. About Vastra. Vastra's okay, but I don't know. I don't understand why Jenny would love with a Silurian. I mean,
Well, do I need to say why, really?
yeah, I don't. I mean, just imagine them in bed, honestly. But
I could say,
Richard,
but we wouldn't be keeping it clean at that point.
Richard E. Grant, as the great intelligence in this episode, you know, I think he redeemed himself. I thought he was pretty crap, like with that.
Hang on a second, Will.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting a lot of noise from you.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
hang on.
you're going over Jack. Okay, all
That
right.
happens at times, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I think
Hang on, let me just try to connect my...
I think Richard E. Grant redeemed himself in this episode. I didn't like him in The Snowman. Thought he was quite comical. Thought he was pretty... I think he underacted, to be honest. But I liked him in this episode. I like the way he peeled off his lip or whatever and then takes off his hat and there's like nothing. Sort of reminded me of the Three Doctors when the second Doctor and the third Doctor take off his hats. What?
Sorry, Dr. Freedom, does this sound better?
Yeah, you're fine now.
Yeah,
Right.
I just reconnected my microphone.
Okay.
Right. That bit when he takes off his that bit where he peels off his lip, whatever, and then he takes off his hat reminds me of Three Doctors when, as I said, the third Doctor takes off his mask and there's nothing there. I like Trenzalore. I like the whole grave. I like the look of the graves. I liked there was this really touching scene where the Doctor's crying about Trenzalore. That was a really touching scene. There was some great acting from Matt Smith. There's only one thing that bugged me was when they entered the Doctor's tomb. It was the 11th Doctor's TARDIS. I found that a bit odd because if this is the resting place of the Doctor, why is it his TARDIS at the moment?
Well,
But,
one good explanation I've heard for that, and I wanted to throw it in because I kind of knew it'd come up, is the fact that we now know that the TARDIS archives different control rooms. So maybe she just used that particular archived one for the Doctor's tomb. So it might not necessarily be alluding to the fact that Matt's going to be the last one.
Yeah. I like the sort of overgrown the roots coming from the TARDIS. Thought that was nice. I like the recap. I like the bit where he used the sonic and you can hear the Doctors, Patrick Troughton saying there are some corners of the universe that have bred the most terrible things. And then Peter Davison saying, "You can't stop me now." And Kees Van Jazani, hearing all the Doctors' voices. That was really nice. At the end, I like River Song a lot more in the story. I think in Series 6 I didn't like her, the whole story arc thing. The whole flirting with the Doctor. Thought that was a bit forced. Thought she was a lot better. But it didn't make much sense the way she was supposed to be a hologram and the Doctor could catch her hand and talk to her. That didn't really make any sense. And how he could kiss her even though she's like a hologram or a projection. I mean, that didn't really make much sense. Can anyone explain that?
I know, that was weird. Maybe she was a hard light hologram, like from out of Red
Yeah.
Dwarf. That's all I can figure out.
Like Legion in Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking at the time as well. Because Star Trek ripped that off with Voyager. The Doctor was a hard light hologram. I heard they took that from Red Dwarf. But River was a lot better. This is probably the only time I've liked her since Series 4. I liked her in Series 5, but she was a bit, still a bit flirty. But the end with John Hurt, you had all those blurred images of the Doctor, that was good. The end with John Hurt, when he turns around, I thought that was quite good. So I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice ending and a good cliffhanger for Name of the Doctor. So overall, I give it 9 out of 10.
Okay, Ryan, what'd you think of Name of the Doctor?
Oh, this is the best of 7B, I think. I've watched it about 6 times already. I can't praise it enough. Great intelligence. I mean, Richard E. Grant's played the Doctor on 2 different occasions, and he's done it brilliantly. And he does it brilliantly here, better than the Snowman. The opening, my jaw drops every time I watch that. The opening is just terrific. The stock footage, especially William Hunnell. Pity we didn't see much of 8. That sucks. 8's one of my favorites. John Hurt, at first I didn't want to accept it, really, that he was going to be one of the Doctors. They were going to waste one of the regenerations on just the 50th. I want to see where that's going to go. Has everyone here seen, there's a second image on Google Images. He's in a different costume. Has everyone seen that one?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that. When he's in
And he's got no beard.
Yeah, I think. His costume. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Because his costume has changed and he's got no beard.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
If you go to Google Images and type it up, it's like the first one that pops up. If you type in Doctor Who 50th Anniversary John Hurt, it should be the first one. You can only really see the bottom of it. He's covering it up with like a raincoat, but he's got no beard. So I don't know what's going to happen there, if he's going to do a character switch halfway through.
Yeah, I've seen his costume. It's sort of the 9th Doctor's coat, sort of the 8th Doctor's waistcoat, and like a shotgun belt going across that or something.
Well, it's what that is it's the 8th Doctor satchel from the modified outfit he wore for the Dark Eyes saga.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, though, that they should bring back Paul McGann. I mean, come on, John Hurt. I mean, we're wasting regenerations here.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what's going to happen, because from what I'm hearing, Paul McGann is going to pop up again in a mini-sode, but unfortunately I think it's going to be regenerating the John Hurt.
Yeah, I wish it was a full episode, or I wish he got a full series just on the Time War.
Yeah.
Just call the series the Time War and have Paul McGann in there.
Like Time War.
Now, Jack, that costume you were talking about, this one I'm talking about where he has no beard, he's in a different costume.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up later. So, all right, in conclusion, go ahead, Ryan.
So I do think he does a character change, and I can't remember who said it, but I think someone said that the Time War had changed a lot of aspects. Who knows? It could have changed the order that the Valeyard was supposed to be in.
Yeah, very possible.
He was supposed to be between 12 and 13, but he could now become between 8 and 9. So I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I hate to rush things along, but it's just this program. I've never used it for this long before. So, okay. So we've gone from the Dalek Asylum. All right. Let's get Ryan. What was your rating on this episode out of 10?
10.
All right. I like that. I believe I gave it a 9 out of 10 myself. But, okay. So we've gone from the Dalek Asylum all the way to the Fields of Trenzalore. And I'm hoping everybody's still hung with us. Oh boy, this is going to be a long one when I get done editing it. I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming on this journey with me here. And Series 7.
Thank you for inviting me.
Huh?
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, glad to have you on board. Like I said, the Omega Files is going to continue over the summer. We're going to try to come up with different things regarding Doctor Who and bring on different cast members again to discuss it. I'd really love to thank Sammi Carter. I've been meaning to get him on here for the longest time, and I was so glad you could join us.
My pleasure. Sorry.
That's okay. I'd love to have you on. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up since we're running on almost 3 hours. So, once again,
3 hours well spent.
All right. Yeah, I thank each and every one of you for being on here. I really enjoyed the trip. I hope you all did too. So each of you, I want to give you a chance to do a final farewell. Sammy?
Well, like I say, check me out on Who Harmony, and, there's more things to come with Doctor Who, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot of good stuff about the 50th.
Okay, Will?
I'm really looking forward to the 50th anniversary. That's all I can say. So, yeah, this is that's going to be it for now. This is as I say on YouTube, Mr. Crazy Gamer 13 or Mr. Doctor 13 or whatever you want to call me, saying word out.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah. So, all I have to finish on is I hope the 50th anniversary delivers. I hope they have all the classic Doctors in there in some form or another, not just archive footage or photographs. I would like to see some of the classic Doctors returning, even if they shapeshifted into the Zygons. I mean, it'd be okay, but I really want the classic Doctors back. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the 50th anniversary. I'm looking forward to other podcasts in the future.
Okay, Ryan.
All right, yeah. I don't lose faith in the 50th, everyone. You never know. Moffat could surprise us. And I just want to say a big thank you for allowing me on here today. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, and I'm going to wrap this one up for now, and thank you all for joining us this week on the Omega Files Series 7 Roundup. Good night.